Chapter 1341 Welcome to take your seat. Dai Xinger's tone was gentle, with a hint of worry. They chased after him. Zhan Yu whispered, I know that the butterfly race and the human race have a good relationship, but you can't help with this matter today. With our strength, it is difficult to save him. And he has already been targeted. The people staring at him include the Golden Eagle race. You also know that once the Golden Eagle race is targeted, they can't escape. Even if we can save him once, we can't save him a second time. Everyone knows the speed of the Golden Eagle race. Not to mention in the outside world, even here, the Golden Eagle race still maintains this advantage. Once they are targeted, they basically can't escape. Dai Xinger naturally understood this truth, but out of the relationship between the two races, and her own personality, worry was inevitable. But she also knew that Zhan Yu was right. They could save him once or twice, but they couldn't save him 3 or 4 times. At this time, Shui Luoyu opened her mouth and said, I don't think anything will happen to him. Shui Luoyi also opened her mouth and said, he is very confident, and it is not an act, he is not afraid of those guys at all. Dai Xinger's eyes lit up, revealing a hint of surprise, really? The two sisters nodded at the same time, in unison, really, he is really not afraid. Shui Luoyu added, moreover, I feel that he doesn't take these guys seriously at all. The water god race has a very strong perception ability through water as a medium. They can sense changes in emotions and such through changes in human blood flow. When Lin Moyu spoke earlier, he was too calm, and the blood flow in his body was very calm. They felt that Lin Moyu was telling the truth. Zhan Yu said, Little Xinger, don't worry, since he said so, then believe him. Dai Xinger nodded, feeling much better at the moment. Lin Moyu left the oasis far away. He walked very fast, looking like he was running away. But strangely, he did not sneak, erase his tracks, but rather slightly ostentatious. When he walked, he brought a strong wind, stirring up sand lines to fly into the air. The 6 people behind were hanging far away. They didn't need to get close. As long as they followed the flying sand lines, they wouldn't get lost. But even without the sand lines, the 6 people would not get lost, because among the 6 people, there was a wolf tribe person. He has a human body and a wolf head, a pair of small and sharp eyes. His eyes are like knives, making people unable to look directly. Both hands and feet have sharp claws. The sharp claws are comparable to the magic weapon of the Divine King realm, and can tear the enemy's defense. The wolf tribe is good at attacking, and the defense is relatively much weaker. In addition, they have a special ability to leave a predation mark on the target. The predation mark is silent, and the target will not have any sense. Even if they are hundreds of millions of miles apart, the wolf tribe can track through the predation mark. In addition, there is also the fastest Golden Eagle tribe. Lin Moyu has nowhere to escape. Among the 6 people, besides the wolf tribe and the Golden Eagle tribe, there is also one from the Black Iron tribe. In addition, there are the Silver Dog, Silver Snake, and Silver Heron, which make up the 3 silver tribes. The Golden Eagle tribe exudes a faint golden light, and a pair of sharp eyes are even more glittering with golden light, like 2 stars twinkling. In his eyes, Lin Moyu under the sand line is clearly visible. The Golden Eagle tribe is not in a hurry to catch up. He is not worried that Lin Moyu can escape, but said softly, let's discuss how to distribute the benefits. Diaresis. A Black Iron tribe person traveling with him chuckled, Black God is above, I didn't expect to meet Lin Moyu here. It's a pity that the magic weapon given by the demon race is only 1, it's difficult for us to share equally. The wolf tribe person said, a magic weapon of the divine Venerable realm is worth 10 magic weapons of the divine King realm's top grade. If anyone wants the magic weapon of the divine Venerable realm, then take out other magic weapons to pay for it. His idea was good and was approved by everyone. After all, they don't know what kind of magic weapon the demon race will give, it may not be suitable for them. Several people discussed for a while and made a Great World Oath. With the constraints of the Great World Oath, the seemingly united state of several people was slightly better. Although they are chasing and killing Lin Moyu together, they are also wary of each other and vigilant against each other. Not of the same race, no one will believe the other. Sometimes, even the same race cannot be trusted too much. After Lin Moyu left the oasis for more than 1,000,000 kilometers, he truly left the martial arts restricted area set by the little bright King Bodhisattva. The Golden Eagle tribe couldn't help but said first, I'll go ahead and stop him, you guys follow. After speaking, without waiting for everyone to answer, the Golden Eagle tribe person shook the wings on his back and turned into a golden light, shooting straight towards Lin Mo Yu. The Golden Eagle tribe person is very fast. If it weren't for the restrictions in the lowest desert, his speed would have exceeded 100,000 kilometers per second. He approached Lin Mo Yu at a speed of 10,000 kilometers per second and quickly caught up. Suddenly, he found that Lin Mo Yu in the yellow sand was looking at him with a smile. That feeling was like he was waiting for his arrival. A strange feeling vaguely rose in his heart. He stopped in front of Lin Mo Yu, maintaining a distance of 1 kilometer from Lin Mo Yu. For them, this distance is no different from face to face. His eyes showed coldness. You actually don't escape. Lin Mo Yu smiled slightly. Why should I escape? The Golden Eagle tribe person's pair of sharp eyes stared at Lin Mo Yu. Lin Mo Yu's attitude made him feel strange. Lin Mo Yu was too calm, he didn't seem to be afraid at all. Any Divine King 9th rank, facing the pursuit of 6 strong men of the same realm, is not afraid. He suppressed the slight unease in his heart. You have a lot of confidence in yourself. Lin Mo Yu looked at him, and the few people who were rushing over quickly behind him. I'm a little curious, the demon race put me at the top of the must-kill list. Did they publish more information about me? The Golden Eagle tribe person was stunned. He didn't understand the meaning of Lin Mo Yu's words. Lin Mo Yu smiled slightly and continued, it seems not, then changed the question, why do you think the demon race took out a divine Venerable realm magic weapon to reward me? If I remember correctly, the demon race only rewarded 3 top-grade Divine King realm magic weapons for the first place on the previous must-kill list. A magic weapon of the Divine Venerable realm is worth 10 top-grade Divine King realm magic weapons. Also the first place on the must-kill list, the rewards before and after are more than 3 times different, there must be a reason. The Golden Eagle tribe person realized that he had not considered this at all. They also don't know Lin Mo Yu's specific strength, or some other information. The unease in his heart is getting stronger and stronger. But the companions who have already arrived made him feel a little relieved. Unless Lin Mo Yu reaches the realm of the Little Divine Venerable, he will surely die today. But even if it is the Little Divine Venerable, if he can't beat him, he can always escape. As long as he escapes back to the oasis, there is the little bright King Bodhisattva sitting there, so he doesn't have to be afraid of Lin Mo Yu. At worst, leave the lowest desert and leave the Vermilion Bird battlefield. The great world is so vast, he may not see him in the future. In this moment, the Golden Eagle tribe person thought a lot. Lin Mo Yu's voice came again, you are indeed a little smarter than the stone demon, but your intelligence is limited. There is a saying in our human race, people die for wealth, and birds die for food. Welcome to Take Your Seat. Chapter 1342, Who is the hunter, and who is the prey? The Wolf tribe, the Black Iron tribe, and the 3 Silver tribes finally arrived. They crossed the position where the Golden Eagle tribe person was, stood in different positions, forming an encirclement, and surrounded Lin Mo Yu. None of the 6 people took the initiative to attack, but they seemed to have eaten Lin Mo Yu. The Wolf tribe's eyes were sinister. You said we are going to die for wealth. You think too highly of yourself. Lin Mo Yu chuckled, his eyes swept around. 6, it's okay. At this moment, his aura began to rise frantically. From the true God realm, all the way up, breaking through layers of restrictions, all the way up to the peak of the Divine King 9th rank. Everyone was not surprised by this. They had long expected that Lin Mo Yu was hiding his strength, and those who can get here are at least Divine King 8th rank, and most likely Divine King 9th rank. But the unease in the Golden Eagle tribe's heart is getting stronger and stronger. The Wolf tribe also raised his aura. He also has the strength of the Divine King 9th rank, and is also one of the best among the many Divine King 9th ranks, not much worse than Lin Mo Yu. You finally stopped hiding your realm, you humans like this meaningless thing. The Black Iron Demon, the 3 Silver tribes, all bloomed their aura, and a strong pressure went straight to the sky, rolling up the sky of yellow sand. The Golden Eagle tribe person also released a strong pressure. 6 pressures belonging to the Divine King 9th rank, firmly suppressed Lin Mo Yu. But in the next second, the eyes of the 6 people changed dramatically. Lin Mo Yu's aura rose to the Divine King 9th rank, paused for 2 seconds, and then suddenly rose again. Instantly broke through the restrictions of the Divine King 9th rank and entered a special level. Little Divine Venerable. A burst of swelling feeling came from the soul, a little painful, but not unbearable. After the real realm reached the true God 9th rank, the soul's endurance was further enhanced. Besides his own strength becoming stronger and his foundation becoming more solid, the power of the undead has also been improved. With the combination of the two, Lin Moi finally broke through the limitation of the 9th rank of the God King, and temporarily promoted his strength to the level of a minor God Venerate. If it was before, as long as he raised his soul to the minor God Venerate, his soul would shatter on the spot in a few seconds, and he could not use it for battle at all. But now, his soul can maintain a period of time in the state of the minor God Venerate. If he can get replenishment during this period, then the maintenance time can be further extended. The Golden Eagle clan finally knew where their unease came from. You are not the 9th rank of the God King, you are the minor God Venerate. He screamed strangely, fear grew in his heart, and his first reaction was to escape. He was not the only one who had this idea, but also the other 5 people. Now they no longer have the intention to kill Lin Moi, they just want to leave. But Lin Moi will not give them a chance. With a tap of his finger, a red light buzzed to life. The 6 people felt a sharp pain in their heads at the same time, their souls were attacked, and their movements also stagnated. Fusion spell, Curse of Time. Although Lin Moi's soul enhancement has been improved, the spell is still in the state of True God rank 9, and has not been improved accordingly. The spell of True God rank 9, coupled with the 10 times damage brought by strong soldiers, can only make them feel the pain of the soul, and then delay for half a second. Half a second is enough for Lin Moi to do a lot of things. Undead flames appeared in the air, and the skeleton throne flew out of the flames, and the skeleton king rose from the throne. Endless skeletons appeared densely packed, almost instantly enveloping everyone and surrounding them. Skeletons cannot pose a threat to them, but they can delay and buy time for Lin Moi. The soul fire in the head of the skeleton king jumped violently, and scarlet rays of light burst out from the hollow eyes, firmly locking on the Golden Eagle clan, and waving the bone sword. Spell, Godslayer. The sword light lit up, and the Golden Eagle clan suddenly screamed strangely. At this time, the Skeleton King has reached the 9th rank of the God King, and with the blessing of strong soldiers the damage is increased by 10 times, and it is faintly about to surpass the 9th rank of the God King. Even if it has not reached the level of the minor God Venerate, it is infinitely close to the minor God Venerate. With a sword to slay the gods, the God King of the Golden Eagle clan could not bear it at all, and was seriously injured on the spot. Golden feathers were cut off neatly, his expression was listless, and the golden light was dim. He was horrified in his heart, and was about to burst out all the feathers, using the Golden Eagle clan's life-saving method, and then escape. But the picture in front of him suddenly changed, the yellow sand disappeared, and the starry sky descended. For a time, the world changed, and he seemed to be in the starry sky of the great world. Illusion. He was horrified in his heart. How could he fall into an illusion? When did the illusion appear? In the starry sky, giants comparable to stars appeared. ACDF, the giant raised his palm, carrying the breath enough to destroy the stars, and slapped himself down. The illusion is too real, even if he knows it is an illusion, it will not help. Even the God King cannot remain calm in such an illusion. The Golden Eagle clan let out a terrified scream, and all the feathers on his body exploded, and he instantly turned into a bald eagle. He used a life-saving spell. After the feathers exploded, he turned into golden light and fled into the depths of the starry sky. But the giant moved faster, the giant hand fell, and slapped him back with one palm. The Golden Eagle clan's face was full of despair, and the vitality in his eyes was gradually dimming. The giant spewed out flames and devoured it. The Golden Eagle clan was trapped in the sea of fire and screamed. In the real world, the Golden Eagle clan exploded its feathers and exerted amazing speed. However, due to the limitation of the Yellow Earth Desert, his speed had just picked up when he was forcibly stopped by the rules in the desert. He seemed to have crashed into an invisible wall and was bounced back. Then the Fire Lich summoned a projection of the Law Galaxy, and endless flames poured down on him, devouring it. The Golden Eagle clan died the fastest. He was first severely injured by the Skeleton King, and then used a life-saving spell, leading to weakness in his power. Otherwise, it would not be so easy to burn a strong person of the same realm with the Fire Lich alone. Lin Moi moved and came to the dying Golden Eagle clan, beheading him with a sword. The sharp bone sword was wrapped in the law of immortality, corroding the last law of the Golden Eagle clan, cutting off its neck, and a hairless head with a pointed beak soared into the sky. Fresh blood with a slight golden glow spurted out, dyeing the yellow sand earth red. A force of soul was sucked over, Part of it was converted into the power source to maintain the original spell, and the other part was purified and refined by the talent giant tree and the 9-colored dragon soul crystal. Lin Moi put away the corpse of the Golden Eagle clan, and there was another material of the 9th rank of the God King. Turning to look at the other 5 people, these 5 people are just materials in Lin Moi's eyes. The 5 people are now also trapped in their respective illusions, unable to extricate themselves. The illusion of the Star Lich can trap the strong of the 9th rank of the God King. If only one Lin is trapped, it can be trapped for a long time. If there are too many, the maintenance time of the illusion will be reduced accordingly. Now that 5 people are trapped at the same time, the illusion maintenance time will not exceed 5 minutes. 5 minutes is very, very long for the 9th rank of the God King, enough for Lin Moi to kill them many times. The Skeleton King and the Fire Lich, who also have the combat power of the 9th rank of the God King, plus Lin Moi himself, whose realm has reached the level of the minor god Venerate. With the cooperation of the 3, a massacre was launched against the 5 people trapped in the predicament. The oasis is still quiet, and the yellow sand world flying in the air in the distance seems to be 2 different spaces from the oasis. Here, there is no fighting, like a pure land. No one present dared to violate the rules established by the little bright King Bodhisattva with the power of the minor god Venerate. At this time, they were all discussing Lin Moi's affairs. No one thought that Lin Moi could come back alive. Under the pursuit of 6 god kings of the 9th rank, with the Wolf clan as a marker, and the Golden Eagle clan occupying the speed advantage, Lin Moi had no chance of survival. But most people don't care about Lin Moi's life or death. Everyone sweeps the snow from their own door, and Lin Moi is just a topic of conversation. Chapter 1343. Definitely caught up, but was killed. Dai Xinger was originally comforted and not worried, but listening to everyone's discussion, the worry in her heart inevitably rose again. As her good sisters, Zan Yu, Shui Luoyu, and Shui Lui comforted her again, but the effect was average. In fact, life and death are too common in the great world. Like Dai Xinger, who has cultivated to the existence of the 9th rank of the God King, she has already seen through it. It can only be said that the nature of the Butterfly clan is too kind, and no matter how strong the realm is, it cannot change their nature. In other words, the Butterfly clan is a bit of a saint. In the great world, the character of the saint is a shortcoming, which will bring disaster. But the Butterfly clan has another advantage: their saintliness is only for the human race. Once a plaything and slave, and finally rescued by the human race, becoming an ally of the human race. The saintliness of the Butterfly clan is only for the human race. Zan Yu remained calm. Don't worry too much, he should have a way to escape. She has said this several times, but the effect is not good. Dai Xinger's gaze stayed in the direction where Lin Moi left, and suddenly her beautiful eyes shrank slightly. She saw a figure appearing from the end of her sight, stepping on the yellow sand, walking slowly but quickly. He's back. Zan Yu noticed Dai Xinger's strangeness for the first time, and followed her gaze to see Lin Moi. Each race has its own characteristics, and the human race is the one that can be recognized at a glance. The only human race here is Lin Moi. Dai Xinger saw Lin Moi, the worry in her eyes quickly dissipated, and she nodded with a smile. He's really okay. Zan Yu's expression changed at this time. He's okay, but the guys who chased him haven't come back. Lin Moi came back safely, but the people who chased him failed to come back. The result is self-evident. Shui Luoyu and Shui Lui said in unison, it seems that his strength is very strong, very strong. Zan Yu whispered, the one who can be listed as the first on the demon race's must-kill list is really extraordinary. Lin Mo quickly approached, and many people saw him. They all showed shocked expressions, some with strange looks, muttering to themselves, he's actually okay, did those guys not catch up to him? Some clever people had a look of vigilance in their eyes. They definitely caught up. There's a Wolf clan mark, how could they not catch up? He's back, but those guys haven't returned. Could it be that he killed all of them? Golden Eagle clan, Wolf clan, 3 Silver clan, none of them are easy to provoke. I smell blood. There's blood from the Golden Eagle clan, and also blood from the Wolf clan. Everyone present realized what had happened. Although they couldn't believe it, they had to believe it. The people who chased Lin Mo were all dead, killed by Lin Mo. For this kind of existence that can kill strong individuals of the same realm, no matter who it is, they have to be vigilant. Dai Xinger originally wanted to go over, but Zan Yu stopped her again, signaling her not to go. Because Lin Mo had already changed direction, not heading towards the oasis. After approaching the oasis, Lin Mo suddenly changed direction and headed towards the deeper areas. He returned to the oasis just to enter Area 9, he didn't intend to return to the oasis to rest. Killing a few divine kings of the 9th rank was just a matter of lifting a hand. From afar, he smiled slightly at Dai Shinger, and then headed towards Area 9. In the sky, 9 huge fireballs had been burning for countless years, and had been numbered one by one. Among them, fireball number 8 and number 9 are side by side, jointly radiating the deep area. After the previous encounter, Lin Mo could already guess that the area radiated by fireball number 8 should be the area controlled by the demon clan. And Area 9 is an area where different races of free people operate, and the existence that manages these free people and unifies their strength is the Little Bright King Bodhisattva. Little Bright King Bodhisattva is a little Buddha, that is, a little divine venerable in the great world. With him in charge, the demon clan wouldn't dare to go too far. As for the Sand Clan and Earth Monster, Lin Mo hasn't seen them yet. He felt that these two races most likely also occupied a place in the deeper areas. The two races joining forces wouldn't be too weak, maybe there would also be a little divine venerable in charge. Based on this calculation, there should also be a little divine venerable in the demon clan. The existence of the Little Bright King Bodhisattva reminded Lin Mo of many things. At the same time, the appearance of the Buddhist clan also made Lin Mo feel a trace of strangeness. The Buddhist clan never participates in the fights between races, they only recruit believers, people of any race can join the Buddhist clan. Once you join the Buddhist clan, you completely sever ties with your own race and become a member of the Buddhist clan. The Buddhist clan calls this act embracing all rivers, teaching without discrimination. The Buddhist clan sometimes discusses Buddhism and preaches their Buddhist doctrines in the great world. This move did attract many people to join the Buddhist clan. But because they claim not to participate in racial struggles, you can't see the shadow of the Buddhist clan in the battlefield. Then the appearance of the Buddhist clan here is worth discussing. I remember it said in the data that there is a 10,000 Buddha altar in the Buddhist clan. The 10,000 Buddha altar is something similar to the Sea of Laws, where you can comprehend various laws. 0 seeking fresh flowers 0. So the Buddhist clan doesn't need to come here to comprehend the laws at all. And the one who came is still a little divine venerable, so what is his purpose? Without any evidence, based on instinct alone, Lin Mo felt that the Buddhist clan people must have a special purpose in coming here. Without enough information, it's impossible to make further speculations. He has no connection with the Buddhist clan, but he has hatred. He once personally killed a Buddha, and later the human race's strong also went to the Buddhist clan to seek an explanation for themselves. The human race was extremely strong, causing the Buddhist clan to stop this discussion of Buddhism and preaching, and even close the Star Territory clan grounds, severing contact with the outside world. In this way, the feud between myself and the Buddhist clan has been formed. As long as you don't come to provoke me, I won't care what you're doing. Lin Mo thought in his heart. The number 9 fireball in the sky suddenly shook, and the temperature began to rise sharply. 0. He entered the junction of the deep area and the middle area, that is, the transition zone. Here, he can initially feel the temperature of the deep area. The temperature is getting higher and higher, without laws, it is pure high temperature. This high temperature seems to have exceeded the temperature in Blue Fire Star, it is an extremely abnormal high temperature, and low-level divine kings will also be burned here. Lin Mo ignored the high temperature and continued to move forward. Soon, he felt himself passing through an invisible film. The film resonated with itself, allowing itself to enter. He had obtained the key, so he was qualified to enter the deep area. People without keys can only be blocked outside by the invisible film. Lin Mo raised his mind to the extreme, and skeletons appeared around him. He used his own eyes, soul, and undead vision, 3 different methods, to carefully observe the situation in the deep area. He knew that what he had to face first was a test that must be experienced after entering the deep area. At the same time, he also had to guard against whether someone would sneak attack him. Not just demons, but also other races. You can't be too careful when guarding against others. Lin Mo never dared to take it lightly. The yellow sand howled, and a sandstorm descended abruptly, quickly becoming strong and dense. The strong wind blew his clothes, his hair, obscuring his vision. This sandstorm came very suddenly, in the blink of an eye. The naked eye could not see anything, not even your own fingers. The soul induction was also blocked by the sandstorm. The sandstorm contained a strong law of earth. Only the undead vision can still be used. In the gray and white world, clusters of soul fire lit up. Chapter 1344. Group monsters in the deep area. The area radiated by fireball number 8 is the territory of the demon clan. A stone demon with a height of 30 meters sat in the yellow sand. He was different from other stone demons. Other stone demons have pitch-black bodies. The higher the cultivation level, the deeper the blackness. The stone demon of the 9th rank of the Divine King has a body as black as ink. And his body, in addition to black, also has a golden glow. The golden glow is the stars in the great world, dotted on his body, setting him off like a god. Not only does his body have a golden glow, even his name is called Jinwei Golden Glow. Jinwei asked in a deep voice, "Is there any news yet?" Next to him, there is also a stone demon. The stone demon, which is 20 meters high, exudes the aura of the 9th rank of the Divine King, but in front of Jinwei, it appears so petite. No news. According to your instructions, we also set up traps in the oasis farthest from Area 9, but did not find Lin Mo. Jinwei made a hoarse and unpleasant sound. Could it be that he didn't go there? 207. They set up several traps. There are a total of 6 oases and 6 passages from the 5th, 6th, and 7th middle areas into the deep area. One of the passages belongs to the Sand Clan and Earth Monster, and they can't intervene. The other one is guarded by the Little Bright King Bodhisattva, and they can't check it either. They have all made arrangements for the remaining 4 passages. No matter where Lin Mo entered from, they would be able to teleport there immediately and intercept him. In the eyes of many stone demons, this arrangement was already flawless. But Jinwei himself knew that although he was very smart, smarter than most stone demons, his intelligence was only at an average level. This arrangement might work against ordinary people, but it might not work against Lin Mo. Jinwei muttered to himself, the passages of the Sand Clan and the Earth Giants should not allow him to pass. These 2 races are very xenophobic and difficult to negotiate with. There are many scattered cultivators of various races near Little Mingwang Bodhisattva, and many of them have grudges against the human race. If he takes the passage there, he might be hunted down by other races and may not be able to enter alive. Where did he go? After thinking for a long time, he couldn't figure it out, and said in a deep voice, "You continue to guard here, paying attention to the situation of the traps. I'll go find Little Mingwang Bodhisattva." Jinwei decided to meet Little Mingwang Bodhisattva. Ideographic period. Within the sandstorm, soul fires lit up one after another. Unlike the previous 2 times when crossing regions, the fireballs in the sky did not drop flaming meteors. Perhaps it felt that those who could come here would no longer fear flaming meteors. Through the undead vision, Lin Mo could clearly see these soul fires. The soul fires were very powerful, seemingly exceeding Divine King rank 8, but not reaching Divine King rank 9. The only problem was that the number of soul fires was astonishing. In the sandstorm, there were as many as 1,000 soul fires. Each one represented a monster. 1,000 soul fires meant 1,000 monsters. Each one was stronger than Divine King rank 8, infinitely close to Divine King rank 9. In addition, among the many soul fires, one soul fire had officially reached the level of Divine King rank 9, and should be the leader of these monsters. Group monsters. But the number is a bit too much. Lin Mo thought of the common group monsters in the small world. A group monster was a monster group composed of a leader and a group of followers. But normally, a leader would have only 5 or 6 followers, or dozens at most. He had never seen one leading thousands. After these monsters appeared, they quickly approached Lin Mo. A buzzing sound came from his ears, as if countless elytra were vibrating. The sandstorm was too fierce. The undead vision could clearly see the soul fires and know the location of the monsters, but could not see their true appearance. They were getting closer and closer, and had completely surrounded him. Lin Mo's heart stirred, and 5 legion rulers appeared beside him. Along with the 5 legion rulers, there was also the skeletal dragon legion. As Lin Mo advanced to True God rank 9, the individual combat power of the skeletal dragons, after being blessed by the domination spell, also reached Divine King rank 4. Although they were far inferior to the monsters in the sandstorm, the skeletal dragons, relying on their huge bodies, could at least form meat shields to block them. Lin Mo wanted to use the skeletal dragons to see clearly what kind of monsters they were before deciding what kind of fighting style to adopt. He felt that a normal Divine King rank 9 entering such a large number of monsters would probably only find death. The skeletal dragons roared and charged out, colliding with the monsters at the first moment. Lin Mo connected to the skeletal dragon's vision, and at the moment of the collision, he finally saw the appearance of the other party. They were flying ants, huge flying ants. Each flying ant was more than 5 meters long, with sharp mouthparts and 2 pairs of thin elytra on its back, vibrating violently. They were very powerful in combat, easily biting through the bones of the skeletal dragons. Their ant feet were extremely sharp, and they tore the skeletal dragons into pieces almost at the moment of contact. What shocked Lin Mo the most was that they could actually fly. They didn't fly high, but they were indeed flying. This was the first time he had seen a flying monster in the Yellow Earth Desert. The no-fly rules here seemed to make an exception for these flying ants, giving them special privileges. At this moment, the advantage of the skeletal dragon's huge size came into play. Although their bodies were torn apart, they did not die immediately. This gave Lin Mo enough time to see the other party's situation clearly. Lin Mo manipulated the skeletal dragons to charge towards the leader of the flying ants. The leader of the flying ants was twice the size of ordinary flying ants, with a body length of more than 10 meters. The elytra had increased from 2 pairs to 3 pairs, a total of 6 wings. Just as the skeletal dragon was about to hit it, it spat out a light yellow gas. The gas fused into the yellow sand. For a time, the yellow sand swirled back, and every grain of yellow sand became the most terrifying weapon, tearing the skeletal dragon to pieces. Indeed very powerful. It is estimated that at least 5 Divine King rank 9s are needed to pass through here. Everyone has to experience such a scene when they first enter the deeper areas. It is definitely impossible for a single person to pass through. If multiple people join forces, there will be no problem. Lin Mo already knew the specific situation of the monsters and had a countermeasure in mind. These flying ants were yellow in color, blending into the sandstorm. The sandstorm had an impact on him, but not on the flying ants. The best way was to break through as quickly as possible and leave the sandstorm. Perhaps other Divine Kings did the same. As long as they left the sandstorm, these flying ants, although large in number, were nothing. However, Lin Mo was too lazy to choose this way. All his previous operations were just to determine the other party's identity and laws. These flying ants carried a strong law of earth, which brought them strong defense. But they did not have any law of fire. As long as there was no law of fire, it meant that the law of fire could cause enough damage to them. 2 liches appeared at the same time. 2 Lost Star River projections shone brightly in the sandstorm. The Starlight Lich merged into the Lost Star River, and the Lost Star River sank down, enveloping the leader of the flying ants. The leader of the flying ants was suddenly stunned. The next second, all the flying ants flew in another direction, ignoring Lin Mo. The illusion made the leader of the flying ants lose the ability to distinguish the enemy's position. In the illusion, the enemy was in another place. It summoned all its subordinates and flew towards another place. Thousands of huge flying ants vibrated their elytra, with a buzzing sound, obeying the leader's instructions, surrounding the non-existent enemy. They formed a huge encirclement. Then the flame lich merged into the Lost Star River, and countless flames poured down. Chapter 1345 The ability to shield undead vision. As the flames poured down, all the flying ants were ignited. The flying ants let out sharp cries, but they did not violate the leader's orders, and continued to attack the non-existent enemy. Soon, the flying ants were burned to death, dying extremely quickly. The leader of the flying ants, which was not under attack, sensed the death of its subordinates. In the illusion, it felt that the enemy was too powerful and ordered its subordinates to strengthen their attacks. But in reality, more and more flying ants were dying. Like pulling monsters for group kills in a small world dungeon, Lin Mo began a similar operation again. It's just that the corpse explosion now is different from before. The current corpse explosion can lock onto the target and is no longer limited by the explosion range. The advantage is that it can accurately lock onto the target, and whoever you want to explode, you explode. The disadvantage is that for each additional target, the damage will be weakened by 1 point. Each has its advantages and disadvantages, and it is difficult to distinguish who is good and who is bad. However, in Lin Mo's opinion, the current corpse explosion was even more useful. Although the damage would decrease with an increase in targets, it was better suited to the complex situations of the Great World. Flames blazed fiercely, and under the attack of the flame lich, the 1,000 flying ants were completely burned in less than 5 minutes. The corpses of the flying ants were swept into the yellow sand, disappearing with the sandstorm. In the blink of an eye, only the leader of the flying ants remained. The leader of the flying ants was still in the illusion. In the illusion, its subordinates were still attacking non-existent powerful enemies. The flame lich pounced on it, and all the flames began to pour down on it. The leader of the flying ants was covered in flames, struggling frantically. It kept spitting out yellow sand, and its sharp insect feet waved in the sandstorm, its elytra stirring up a gale. But all the struggles were in vain. The flame lich and the starlight lich cooperated to extinguish its vitality. Soon, it was burned to ashes like its subordinates. A crystal core fell from the corpse and was brought back by the flame lich. Lin Mo accepted the crystal core and continued to walk forward. The sandstorm gradually died down, becoming smaller and smaller, and finally disappeared. The deeper area was indeed more dangerous than before. If he didn't have the starlight lich, he would have to fight the flying ant swarm head-on. It was estimated that he would have to use his original spells again, and it would be a tough battle. If it were any other god king, they would only be able to break through at the fastest speed, otherwise they would be trapped in the sandstorm. Looking at the crystal core in his hand, compared to the crystal core of an rank 8 god king monster, the crystal core in his hand was a circle larger, and the laws contained within were more concentrated and purer. The law in the crystal core was the law of earth, very pure, without impurities. It should be said that this crystal core was completely composed of laws. Lin Mo carefully sensed it and felt that the laws contained within were close to perfection. If he could use it to comprehend the laws, the efficiency would be amazing, not much worse than the law sea of the human race. It's a pity that the crystal cores in the Yellow Earth Desert can only be used in the Yellow Earth Desert and cannot be taken outside. Even the crystal cores obtained in the deep area cannot be taken to the middle area. The furthest is the oasis. As soon as you leave the oasis, the crystal core will lose its effect. This rule also restricts anyone from bringing out the crystal cores from the deep area for people in the outer layer to use. He hefted the crystal core and then put it away. The two main laws in the Yellow Earth Desert are the law of earth and the law of earth and stone. The flying ant monster drops crystal cores of the law of earth, and they are very pure, without a trace of impurities. Then in the deep area, there should also be a monster that drops crystal cores of the law of earth and stone. Before entering the deep area, even the crystal cores obtained from the earth giant were a fusion of two laws. The lower level crystal cores are the same, it's just which law dominates. Moreover, whether it is the outer or middle layer, there are more than 2 kinds of monsters that drop different crystal cores. From this, Lin Mo could analyze that there should be another kind of monster in the deep area that would drop crystal cores of the law of earth and stone. Taking it a step further, if his judgment is correct, will the 2 different crystal cores be related to summoning the leader monster of the deep area? Lin Mo had asked Dai Xinger and the others, but they didn't know either. Moreover, they had never seen the leader monster of the deep area, and they had never even really entered the core of the deep area. The people in the oasis only operate near the entrance, and the furthest they go will not exceed 10 million kilometers from the entrance. Some people had gone in before, but never came out again. It is said that the interior of the deep area is very dangerous, and even rank 9 god kings will fall. When he heard this information at the time, Lin Mo also felt strange. He agreed that the deeper you go, the greater the danger, which was indeed the case. But if you say that none of the god kings who have entered have returned, he felt something was wrong. The god kings here have all reached rank 9, the peak of the god king realm, and they are also acting as a group. Even if there is danger, it is impossible for none of them to return. Lin Mo felt that even if they encountered the leader monster of the deep area, if the rank 9 god kings were determined to escape, they could escape. Unless there is a special situation. Suddenly, he raised his head and looked towards the sky. A huge fireball was burning fiercely in the sky. The fire was so dazzling that even layers of afterimages appeared in front of his eyes. Lin Mo felt as if someone was looking at him, and the target was coming from the fireball. But when he looked over, the other party's attention seemed to have shifted, and he didn't find anything. Is it little bright King Bodhisattva? Lin Mo thought in his heart. That gaze came from a very far place. If he had this ability, he was afraid that only little god Venerable would be able to do it. With the Buddhist secret technique, coupled with the little god Venerable realm, it is not surprising that he can gaze at himself from a long distance. Perhaps little god Venerable knows the method to summon the leader monster. I'll ask when I have the chance. Lin Mo put away the crystal core and stepped forward. He had a mission here. He had to break through the Yellow Earth Desert, pass through the deep area, and enter the Nether Marsh. Only in this way could he bring back Shu Qingyang's 450 souls. Unless he felt that the mission could not be completed, he could choose to withdraw and return. Zhu Qiwu also told him this at the time, to save as much as he could while ensuring his own safety. After walking about 100 kilometers, he suddenly heard a buzzing sound in his ears. Flying ants. Lin Mo's heart shuddered, and the sand dune under his feet exploded, and a group of flying ants rushed out of the sand dune. Lin Mo paused and turned into a stream of light, appearing tens of thousands of meters away. The sand dune had been blasted into a flat ground, and Lin Mo saw an ant nest. A large number of flying ants flew out from it, numbering about 1,000. They spread their elytra and vibrated constantly in the air. Each flying ant has 2 pairs of elytra. The last one, huge in size, with an aura reaching the rank 9 God King realm, slowly flew out of the nest, which had 3 pairs of elytra. A 6-winged flying ant of the rank 9 God King realm, plus 1,000 4-winged flying ants of the rank 8 God King realm, formed a group monster. It was exactly the same as the group monster he saw in the sandstorm when he first entered the deep area. It's just that there is no sandstorm now. If he encountered a team composed of several rank 9 God Kings, he wouldn't need to escape at all. It would just take some time to kill them all. A slight look of surprise appeared in Lin Mo's eyes. As he advanced, the undead vision always enveloped him. But he hadn't seen the flame of souls before. Before the flying ants appeared, they were hidden in the ant nest. The ant nest seemed to have the ability to shield the undead vision. This discovery made Lin Mo feel vigilant. Chapter 1346. Asking the Bodhisattva to buy a message. Lin Mo thought of the flames of souls that appeared abruptly in the sandstorm before. In other words, before these flying ants acted, their flames of souls either did not exist, or were shielded by some substance. Now it seems that this substance is the ant nest. Every group monster usually lives in the ant nest, making it impossible for people to discover them. When someone passes by the ant nest will awaken all the flying ants inside and attack the enemy. This attack is swift and powerful, making it difficult to resist. In the instant Lin Mo was thinking, the flying ants had already charged towards Lin Mo. Lin Mo repeated his old trick and still used the elemental lich to fight the enemy. The Starlight Lich confused the 6-winged flying ant, causing the 6-winged flying ant to issue wrong orders. The structure of the group monster is like this: the leader's orders are above everything else. The 4-winged flying ant dragons were burned to ashes by the flame warlocks unleashed law flames. Eventually, even the 6-winged flying ants were burned to death. This tactic had already proven effective in the sandstorm, achieving remarkable efficiency. Adding up the time, it only takes about 10 minutes to wipe out a group of monsters. Lin Mo Yu believed that even a team like Dai Xingers would need at least an hour or 2 to eliminate such a group. 10 minutes later, Lin Mo Yu had another crystal core composed purely of earth law in his hand. He put away the crystal core and continued forward. The terrain in the deeper area was similar to other areas, consisting of yellow sand. Lin Mo Yu watched the fireball in the sky, constantly adjusting his direction. He didn't head straight for the deepest part but instead went to the area radiated by Fireball No. 8. He wanted to eliminate the demons there first and then find a way to the underworld swamp. Currently, he didn't even know the specific direction, only that the underworld swamp required breaking through the entire lowest desert and going further than the deep area to find it. But how to get there specifically, whether there was a road, or if the method was the same as before, summoning the leader monster, killing it to get the key. Everything was unknown at the moment. Dai Xinger and the others didn't even know there was such a place as the underworld swamp. Perhaps the little Ming King Bodhisattva would know, but he didn't plan to ask. The little Ming King Bodhisattva had spied on him once before, and the other party didn't seem very friendly. So, after thinking it over, he finally decided to go to the demons area first, kill all the demons, and turn them into revenants. Perhaps he could get some information from them. The deep area was vast, and with the flying ant nest's particularity, even if Lin Mo Yu was careful, he would inevitably encounter some. Battling the flying ants greatly reduced his speed. While he was thinking about killing demons, Jin Wei was also heading towards the little Ming King Bodhisattva's location. As the offspring of Jin Shi, his identity was very special. Although only at the 9th rank of God King, he possessed power surpassing the 9th rank of God King. Perhaps he was still a bit weaker than a lesser god, but not by much. In addition, with Jin Shi's status, Jin Hui's status was enough to be on par with lesser gods. He had dealt with the Little Ming King Bodhisattva before, their relationship wasn't good or bad. Like Lin Mo Yu, Jin Wei also encountered flying ant attacks along the way. This was unavoidable. No matter who it was difficult to avoid encountering flying ants here. However, Jin Hui's approach was simpler and more brutal than Lin Mo Yu's. He didn't fight the flying ants but curled his body into a ball, turning into a large stone sphere. Then, his entire body shone with golden light, ignoring the flying ants' attacks, and he advanced quickly. The flying ants would give up after chasing for hundreds of thousands of kilometers and return to their nest. Lin Mo Yu didn't know this characteristic, so he was clearing the path all the way, making his speed slower than Jin Hui's. 10 days later, Jin Wei arrived at a special area. Here, the yellow sand had turned golden, and the fireballs in the sky were no longer scorching, making the temperature extremely comfortable. The earth seemed full of vitality, and the sand was very soft. The air was filled with layers of Buddhist light shining down, beam after beam, cluster after cluster, very beautiful. Within the beams of light, a Buddhist kingdom seemed to be reflected, with countless believers praying and worshipping in the Buddhist light. The atmosphere here was permeated with the aura of Buddha, possessing a magical power that made people intoxicated. Jin Wei didn't seem to care for this Buddha, and even disliked it somewhat. But he didn't reveal anything unusual and instead quickly advanced inward. However, out of respect for the Buddha, Jin Wei still lightened his steps and returned to his normal shape, no longer rolling. Dragging a clumsy body of up to 30 meters while trying to appear light enough was indeed a bit difficult for him. After walking for another half a day, Jin Wei finally saw the Little Ming King Bodhisattva. About 100 meters above the Little Ming King Bodhisattva, there was a great sun. The great sun bloomed with golden light, and a beam of magnificent Buddhist light fell on the Little Ming King Bodhisattva. The Little Ming King Bodhisattva sat in the Buddhist light, with a solemn appearance. Not far from him was a lake. The lake was yellow, and the water in the lake rose and fell without wind, constantly lapping against the shore. Each time it lapped, excess lake water would fall on the shore, and the lake water would turn into yellow sand after falling on the shore, then be blown away by the wind. In this way, countless years, countless times, endless lapping, brought endless yellow sand to the lowest desert. A lake that could turn into yellow sand was very magical, but the Little Ming King's gaze didn't linger too much. He had seen this scene too many times and was tired of it because there was also one in the demon's stronghold. Not only that, but there were several such lakes in the deep area. Jin Wei stood 1,000 meters away from the Little Ming King Bodhisattva, trying to lower his voice. Demon clan, Jin Wei, greets the Little Ming King Bodhisattva. The demon clan was always arrogant, but they weren't without a sense of propriety. At least when facing the Buddhist clan, they would restrain their temper. Especially when facing existences stronger than themselves, they would also become a bit more polite. His voice spread out, but the Little Ming King Bodhisattva didn't move. The hairless head reflected the Buddhist light, like wearing a golden ceremonial crown. Jin Wei wasn't worried, he knew the Little Ming King Bodhisattva had already heard him. More than 10 seconds later, the Buddhist light on the Little Ming King Bodhisattva rippled like waves, and a phantom of the Little Ming King Bodhisattva appeared in the air. The phantom was very large, much taller than Jin Wei, looking down at Jin Wei. The phantom opened its mouth, and a Buddhist sound slowly came out. Amitabha, Jin Wei Xuanju, what brings you here? Jin Wei said, I would like to ask the Bodhisattva if he has seen a human. The Little Ming King Bodhisattva didn't hide anything. Lin Mo Yu. A look of joy flashed through Jin Hui's eyes. The Bodhisattva is indeed all-knowing. Can the Bodhisattva tell Jin Wei where Lin Mo Yu is now? He knew some secrets. Within the Little Ming King Bodhisattva's territory, nothing big or small could be hidden from him. This was the Buddhist clan's secret method, and he only knew some rough details. The Little Ming King Bodhisattva's voice sounded again. We Buddhists emphasize cause and effect. There must be a result for every cause. The result arises from the cause, and the cause ends with the result. Isn't it just wanting benefits? Bullshit cause and effect. Jin Wei cursed inwardly, but his expression remained unchanged as he took out a God King realm magic treasure. The magic treasure's shape was like a mirror, and it was obvious at a glance that it didn't belong to the demon clan, so it was unknown where he had snatched it from. Use this treasure to form a cause and effect. Bodhisattva, see if it's acceptable. As he spoke, the mirror magic treasure in his hand automatically flew up, flying towards the little Ming King Bodhisattva. The little Ming King Bodhisattva cast a Buddhist light on the mirror magic treasure, and after a few breaths, a voice came out, acceptable. Chapter 1347, How dare he? Where did he get the guts? The magic treasure Jin Wei gave wasn't too exquisite, just a mid-grade treasure among the God King realm. Its value was moderate, neither high nor low. After all, what he wanted was just a piece of news, a whereabouts, a word from the little Ming King Bodhisattva. It wasn't a difficult thing, so Jin Wei felt that a mid-grade God King realm magic treasure was enough. As he had expected, the little Ming King Bodhisattva agreed. The little Ming King Bodhisattva put away the magic treasure, and a beam of Buddhist light shot out from the great sun above his head, shooting towards the distance. He went in that direction. Jin Wei looked puzzled. The direction the little Ming King Bodhisattva pointed out was the direction he came from. Then, he saw an image appear in the Buddhist light, showing a human moving forward. Jin Wei had never actually met Lin Mo Yu, so this was the first time he was truly seeing him. So he is Lin Mo Yu. The little Ming King Bodhisattva said, about 5 days ago, he just crossed the area under my jurisdiction and entered your territory. At that time, you happened to enter the area under my jurisdiction. The two of you were 1,000,000 kilometers apart, passing by each other. Jin Wei doubted the little Ming King Bodhisattva's words, but he was extremely shocked in his heart. He actually entered Area 8. What is he doing in Area 8? Most of Area 8's territory belonged to the demon clan. The demon race occupied roughly 2/3 of the area, with the sand race and earth golems holding the remaining third. Golden Shine didn't believe Lin Mo Yu entered Area 8 to catch up with the sand race and earth golems. That left only one possibility: he was heading for the demon race. Yet, as the strongest of the stone demons here, he was away from his stronghold. Where does he get the audacity? Golden Shine found it hard to believe, his eyes filled with shock. Even if he wasn't at the stronghold, there were still 30 rank 9 God King stone demons there. Was Lin Mo Yu going there alone to die? Despite thinking so, he couldn't shake a sense of unease. Forcing down the unease, Golden Shine continued in a deep voice, did the Bodhisattva see where Lin Mo Yu went after entering Area 8? The little bright King Bodhisattva's phantom in the air glanced at Golden Shine, and for some reason, Golden Shine felt a hint of mockery in the Bodhisattva's eyes. Don't you already have the answer in your heart? Upon hearing this, Golden Shine jolted. He immediately nodded to the little bright King Bodhisattva, thank you, Bodhisattva. After saying that, he turned and left without looking back. Once he left that special land, he curled up again and rolled towards Area 8. He held a special demon stone that allowed him to quickly return to the demon stronghold. However, he had to return to Area 8 first, as his demon stone couldn't function within the little bright King Bodhisattva's territory. He was anxious and rolled swiftly. But no matter how fast, it would still take at least 4 days to return to Area 8. According to the timeline, Lin Mo Yu had brushed past him, having already entered Area 8 for nearly 5 days. Adding his return time, that would be a time difference of a full 9 days. Where did this guy get the nerve? Where did he get the nerve? Damn it, don't let me find you, I'll tear you to shreds. ... The instant Lin Mo Yu entered Area 8, he paused abruptly. He sensed a difference. Area 8 and Area 9 were like two different worlds. The laws were almost the same, yet there were many differences. Is it an illusion? Lin Mo Yu wasn't sure about his feelings, but the difference was obvious. Moreover, the sense of being watched disappeared when he entered Area 8. He thought it was related to the little bright King Bodhisattva, and he became more wary of this Bodhisattva who had reached the little Buddha realm. This Bodhisattva seemed more terrifying than he had imagined. And that secret technique of the Buddhist race also made him feel unusual. The Buddhist race could exist in the cruel great world, teaching all without discrimination and forming its own unique style, which was definitely extraordinary. After stepping into Area 8, Lin Mo Yu quickly released a large number of Death Knights. The Death Knights, riding warhorses, stepped on the yellow sand and quickly dispersed in all directions, searching for the demon strongholds for Lin Mo Yu. Here, the advantages of the Death Knights were once again brought into play. Although they still couldn't detect the flying ants wouldn't attack them either. The flying ants were only interested in life, and had no interest in the Death Knights, undead creatures filled with death aura. The Death Knights entered a no man's land, unimpeded. In just 2 days, the Death Knights found the demons' stronghold. It was a huge fortress, forming a square with sides of 10,000 meters, looking quite impressive. But in Lin Moyu's eyes, it was a mess. In terms of architecture, the human race was many times stronger than the demons. Even the fortresses built by the army, which only emphasized practicality, were far more aesthetically pleasing than those of the demon race. Not to mention that the stone demons were among the less intelligent of the demon race, so building a fortress was already quite an achievement. Lin Moyu had the Death Knights observe from all directions, and soon he had a good understanding of the situation inside the fortress. Through the undead vision, he could clearly see that there were 30 rank 9 God King stone demons in the fortress but no lesser God Sovereigns. This number was already quite a lot. After all, becoming a God Sovereign was extremely difficult. Even with the human race's huge population base, the number of God Sovereigns wasn't too high. The stone demons were just a branch of the demon race, a side branch of the hell lineage, and the birth of 2 or 3 God Sovereigns among them would be the limit. These 30 rank 9 God Kings wouldn't necessarily produce a God Sovereign even after hundreds of years. Lin Moyu felt that his trip to the Yellow Earth Desert was about to cut off the stone demon lineage. If he killed these stone demons as well, there would be a huge gap in the stone demon ranks from rank 4 God King to rank 9 God King. It would probably take thousands of years to recover. 30 rank 9 God Kings, there doesn't seem to be a barrier. There should be eyes of the demon, but they're not activated right now. A sneak attack wouldn't work, and if I launched a frontal assault, I might be able to kill them with my full strength, but if they wanted to escape, I wouldn't be able to stop them. The Starlight Lich could entrap so many rank 9 God King stone demons. Without the Starlight Lich's assistance, the Flame Lich's effect would also be greatly reduced. There was only one Skeleton King as well. Only Lin Moyu could forcibly raise his realm to the lesser God Sovereign, but his loss couldn't be improved, so his actual combat power was actually inferior to a lesser God Sovereign. And if the other party wanted to escape, he really couldn't stop them. Moreover, the rank 9 God King stone demons had one chance to revive, meaning they each had 2 lives. After thinking for a moment, Lin Moyu came up with an idea. Set wolves against tigers. Lure the flying ants over, use the flying ants to first deplete the stone demon's strength, and then make his move. This way, although he still couldn't keep all the stone demons, he could at least keep a few more. After making up his mind, the Death Knights began to move. They divided into 1,000 teams, each with 1,000 members. Within a radius of 100,000 kilometers centered on the demon stronghold, they began to frantically dig at the sand. Whenever they saw a sand dune, they would bombard it a few times. If there was a flying ant nest in the sand dune, the flying ants inside would come out to chase the Death Knights. The Death Knights would lead the flying ants around, waiting for the other teams to join in. Standing beside Lin Moyu was a lich emitting light all over his body, the Light Speed Lich. His presence gave the Death Knights the fastest speed in the Yellow Earth Desert, enough to take the flying ants for a walk. Chapter 1348. Setting wolves against tigers, flying ants annihilate the enemy. Tens of thousands of teams opened up territory in the Great Yellow Sand Land, flattening sand dunes one after another. Within a radius of 100,000 kilometers, there were countless sand dunes, and the number of flying ants hidden inside was also astonishing. The yellow sand of the sand dunes was blasted into the sky, dancing in the wind. The yellow sand turned into a sandstorm, covering the sky and the sun, and even the fireballs in the sky became dim. The whole world became hazy, and the yellow sand became more and more like fog. The sky full of yellow sand began to connect with each other, becoming denser and denser, truly like a giant sandstorm, enveloping a sandstorm with a radius of 100,000 kilometers. In the demon stronghold, the stone demons noticed this. Their not-so-bright brains simultaneously came up with an idea: what a big sandstorm. Some of them had been here for hundreds of years, and some for several hundred years, but they had rarely seen such a large-scale sandstorm. But sandstorms were not uncommon in the deep areas, so they just exclaimed that this sandstorm was really damn big, and there was no other movement. Even the eye of the demon wasn't activated. The sandstorm became more and more intense, almost reaching the point where you couldn't see your fingers. But the stone demons didn't care. They stayed quietly in the sandstorm, even somewhat enjoying the laws contained within. A series of buzzing sounds came from the sandstorm, and a stone demon wondered, why are there flying ants? What's so strange about that? Isn't it normal to have flying ants in a sandstorm? They had dealt with flying ants countless times and were very familiar with the sound of flying ants. Because they were so familiar, they didn't pay much attention to the flying ants. But then the buzzing became more and more intense, from a whisper in their ears to a deafening roar. The sound of flying ant wings vibrated from all directions. They couldn't see in the sandstorm and couldn't tell how many flying ants there were. They could only tell from the sound that flying ants were everywhere, an astonishing number of them. Lin Mo stood far away, activating his undead vision. In the gray and white world, clusters of soul fire were extremely clear. Most of them belonged to the flying ants, and some were extremely bright, belonging to the stone demons. Although the soul fire of the flying ants was not as bright as that of the stone demons, there were so many of them, as many as 1,000,000. A team composed of tens of thousands of death knights constantly bombarded the dunes, triggering thousands of ant nests. Each ant nest had thousands of flying ants, adding up to 1,000,000 flying ants. Then the death knights led these flying ants and rushed towards the stone demons from all directions. Taking advantage of the sun-obscuring, hand-obscuring sandstorm, the death knights and flying ants rushed into the stronghold together. At this moment, when the stone demons reacted and wanted to activate the barrier, it was too late. Lin Mo personally saw the last flying ant rush into the stronghold, and with a thought, all the death knights instantly disappeared. The flying ants suddenly lost their target and became headless flies. The 4-winged flying ants spun in the air, waiting for the 6-winged flying ants to command whether to return to the ant nest or take other actions. The next second, the ice-winged flying ants issued new orders, and they regarded the stone demons in the stronghold as new targets. The whole process was similar to what Lin Mo thought. The stone demons were very stupid and slow to react. The flying ants acted entirely according to instinct. Their instinct was to eliminate all life forms within their sensing range, and also eliminate all objects that attacked them. If the Death Knights did not actively attack them, they would not pay attention to the Death Knights at all. The stone demons were living beings, their soul fire was very strong, and their life aura was extremely powerful. After losing their target, the flying ants naturally shifted their target to the stone demons. In the yellow sand where everything was indistinguishable, the flying ants' vision was unaffected, which was a great advantage. From the beginning of the battle, the stone demons were in an absolutely passive position. 30 stone demons with the 9th rank of God King possessed extremely strong combat power. Even if they faced 30, 50, or even 100 group monsters at the same time, they would not be afraid. But now they were surrounded by a full 1,000 group monsters. Not to mention the thousands of 6-winged flying ants who were also at the 9th rank of God King, there were also 1,000,000 4-winged flying ants at the 8th rank of God King. In terms of strength, they had completely crushed the stone demons. The sound of battle roared, and the fortress collapsed from the inside. Under the fierce and dense attacks of the flying ants, the stone demons' defenses collapsed and their bodies were torn apart. Lin Mo watched quietly from afar. Everything that happened in the sandstorm could not be seen. He inferred the process of the battle by watching the changes in the soul fire in the sandstorm through his undead vision. The 30 clusters of soul fire belonging to the stone demons were easy to identify. Once the soul fire went out, it meant the stone demon was dead. Soon, the first stone demon fell, and its soul fire was completely extinguished. However, although more soul fires of the flying ants were extinguished, the remaining number of flying ants was still astonishing, and there was no sign of reduction at all. Lin Mo knew very well that the stone demons were finished. Zero seeking fresh flowers. They simply could not survive the flying ants' indiscriminate bombing. Because of the existence of the sandstorm, they would not even have a chance to escape. This was a battle without any suspense. In order not to let the stone demons escape, Lin Mo had a second arrangement. The Starlight Lich and the Flame Lich were ready to go, and they would take action as soon as they saw someone escape. The Skeleton King was also preparing nearby, and Lin Mo himself could take action at any time. At the same time, the Death Knights were still active on the periphery of the sandstorm. They were still attacking the yellow sand, sending a large amount of yellow sand into the sandstorm to increase the density of the sandstorm. In fact, monsters are the masters of the Yellow Earth Desert, not you. Lin Mo said in a low voice. It seemed that the demons occupied an area, but when the monsters united and took action together, the demons could not resist at all. 0. Even without many monsters, just a little bit. An area of 100,000 kilometers in radius is just an insignificant small area for the Yellow Earth Desert. At this time, Lin Mo thought of little Mingwang Bodhisattva. Although the two had not formally met, little Mingwang Bodhisattva gave Lin Mo a different feeling. Especially the number 9 area where he was located had a special feeling. That feeling gave Lin Mo a sense of unease, which was one of the reasons why he did not go to little Mingwang Bodhisattva. The battle lasted for most of the day, and the stone demons finally died completely under the siege of the flying ants. They did not understand until their deaths why these flying ants would attack them. With their simple minds, they could not imagine that the flying ants were led by someone. In this battle, 30 stone demons of the 9th rank of God King died cleanly, and more flying ants died. Nearly 100 6-winged flying ants died, and more than 100,000 4-winged flying ants died. Each stone demon had a chance to be resurrected, so their endurance was much stronger than it appeared on the surface. Unfortunately, they still died. The flying ants rushed out of the sandstorm and returned to the ant nest one after another. After waiting for another half a day, the sandstorm gradually subsided and everything returned to calm. Lin Mo then entered the fortress. Most of the fortress was destroyed in the battle, and there were rubble and ruins everywhere. However, the fortress was not exquisite in the first place, and it was nothing more than that after being damaged. Some of the rubble was real stone, and some was the corpse of the stone demon. They were mixed together and difficult to distinguish. Lin Mo entered the fortress, stepped on the rubble, and waved out a ball of undead flame. Chapter 1349. You're not the only one who can use traps. The flames enveloped an area, and in this area, there were broken corpses of stone demons and real stones. A stone demon quickly completed its physical rebirth and soul reorganization in the undead flame. In the blink of an eye, a tall stone demon kneeling on the ground appeared in front of Lin Mo. Lin Mo asked, "Tell me about the situation here." The stone demon answered honestly in a muffled and unpleasant voice, "About 900 years ago, we cleaned up the nearby flying ants and established a stronghold here. This stronghold is only 1,000,000 kilometers away from the nearest Yellow Sand Lake, so it can easily reach Yellow Sand Lake without being affected by Yellow Sand Lake." Lin Mo frowned and stopped him from continuing. "Stop." He realized that he had asked the wrong question again. He asked the stone demon to talk about the situation here, intending to ask the stone demon how many people they have in the deep area, whether they are all here, or whether there are any fish that slipped through the net. Or, how many strongholds do they have, and this is just one of them. Instead of letting him introduce the past and present life of this fortress and why it was built here. Of course, he wanted to know this too, but now was not the time. Lin Mo Yu thought for a while and changed the question, "How many strongholds do you have in the deep area in total?" The stone demon honestly replied, "One. Only one stronghold, so it's here." Lin Mo Yu felt a little relieved. This way, even if there are any fish that slip through the net, there won't be too many. He continued with the second question, "How many people do you have in the deep area in total?" The stone demon honestly replied, 31. 31, 30 of whom were killed by the flying ants, which means there is still one that slipped through the net. Lin Mo Yu immediately asked, "Who is the person who wasn't killed by the flying ants?" The stone demon said in a low voice, "His name is Jin Wei, he is our leader." Lin Mo Yu's heart skipped a beat. The other party has a name. Based on Lin Mo Yu's understanding of the demon race, ordinary demons are not worthy of having names. They usually only have nicknames, or a simpler number. Even if they reach the God King realm, they don't have names. Like the Bat Demon in the God King realm who had hunted down Lin Mo Yu before, he could be called the Bat God King, but he didn't have a specific name. This is also a characteristic of the demon race. In the demon race, only true powerhouses, or those whose realm has reached the God Emperor, will have names. Demons who have names are very powerful. Being invincible in the same realm goes without saying, and 8 or 9 times out of 10 they can also fight across levels, or even across realms. Otherwise, how could they be worthy of having a name? Lin Mo Yu became vigilant. Jin Wei is the leader of the stone demons here, how could he leave easily? Lin Mo Yu asked, "Tell me in detail about Jin Wei." Knowing yourself and your enemy is very important. Lin Mo Yu needed to know all the information about Jin Wei in order to make corresponding arrangements. In the stone demon's narration, he began to understand Jin Wei, and also learned about the special breeding method of the stone demon clan. In addition to naturally born stone demons, there is also a special way of birth among stone demons, that is, a very strong existence splits itself to give birth to offspring. There can be several clones, but there can only be one offspring. The meaning of offspring is the same as that of biological children in the human race, and they are also only children. Jin Wei is the offspring of Lord Jin Shi, and Lord Jin Shi is an ancestor in the Stone Demon clan. The Stone Demon in front of him didn't know what Jin Shi's strength was. He only knew that a long time ago, Jin Shi was already at the 9th rank of God Emperor. Jin Wei inherited some of Jin Shi's characteristics and possessed a secret method of bloodline inheritance. Although he was only at the 9th rank of God Emperor, he was no worse than a lesser God Emperor. Moreover, Jin Wei is very smart, far smarter than ordinary stone demons. This also explains the origin of this fortress. And the trap originally aimed at Lin Mo Yu was also designed by Jin Wei. There is more than one trap, they are all in the edge area. Fortunately, Lin Mo Yu didn't choose the edge area to enter the deep area, otherwise they would have known when he entered. At that time, Lin Mo Yu would be forcibly teleported here and besieged by them. This time Jin Wei left to meet the little bright King Bodhisattva. Because Lin Mo Yu didn't enter the trap, Jin Wei hoped to know Lin Mo Yu's whereabouts. And the little bright King Bodhisattva might know. After listening, Lin Mo Yu slowly analyzed and thought. He sorted out the clear cause and effect from what the stone demon said, deduced what happened before, and what Jin Wei would most likely do after he came back. Jin Wei has combat power comparable to that of a lesser God Emperor. If I fight him with all my strength, without replenishing soul power, the source spells won't last long. The starry sky lich is illusion, I'm afraid it can't trap him. The Flame Lich and the Skeleton King will also have difficulty hurting him. The Undead Legion is even worse. His existence seems to have reached my combat power limit. The best way now is to avoid him. But Lin Mo Yu didn't want to let him go. Killing a Jin Wei is equivalent to cutting off Jin Shi's inheritance, and it will be very difficult for him to split off offspring again. For the Stone Demon clan, it is a serious blow, even more harmful than killing 30 God Kings of the 9th rank. If he ignores Jin Wei, he will definitely become a God Emperor, and then there will be another powerful enemy for the human race. So from the bottom of his heart, Lin Mo Yu didn't want to let Jin Wei go. The question now is, how can I kill him without letting him escape? After thinking for a moment, a plan took shape in his mind. Immediately afterwards, Lin Mo Yu flicked his fingers, and groups of undying flames shot into the sky, exploding in midair, exploding into a sky full of fire rain, covering half of the fortress. In the undying flames, stone demons began to be reborn and become revenants. Lin Mo Yu resurrected 15 stone demons, and then ordered them to collect the other stone demons' broken corpses and push them together. And the crystal nuclei left behind after the flying ants died were also collected. As for the fortress, let it keep its current appearance. The fortress is dilapidated, and you can see at a glance that it has experienced a great battle. After doing all this, Lin Mo Yu gathered these stone demons who had become revenants and told them what to do next. At the same time, Lin Mo Yu also asked some questions about the leader-level monsters. Regarding this matter, these stone demons knew nothing about it. They have been here for hundreds of years, or nearly 100 years at the shortest, but they don't know that there are other places after the deep area. However, Lin Mo Yu repeatedly heard about Yellow Sand Lake 3.5 from their mouths. Vaguely, Lin Mo Yu felt that the Nether Swamp might be related to Yellow Sand Lake. It is also possible that Jin Wei will know more information. Half a day later, Lin Mo Yu arranged everything, and what was left was to wait for Jin Wei to come back. You can use traps to kill me, and I will retaliate in kind. He exited the fortress and quickly moved away. The Death Knights rushed out again, heading to various sand dunes. In the 100,000-kilometer area centered on the fortress, where there were flying ants had already been thoroughly investigated in the previous operations. The Death Knights came to the sand dunes where the flying ants existed and waited quietly. Lin Mo Yu waited for another day, and somewhere in the fortress, a faint light suddenly lit up. Dark green abyssal flames burned fiercely, spreading outward like ripples. A tall figure appeared in the fire. Jin Wei came back, and as soon as he returned to the fortress, his eyes shrank sharply, and his expression instantly changed. Chapter 1350 The Fortress is Your Tomb. At the moment Jin Wei returned, the Death Knights arranged in the distance sent back information. In the gray and white undead vision, a flash of extremely bright and vigorous soul fire suddenly appeared. A soul fire stronger than the God King of the 9th rank, needless to say, it was Jin Wei who came back. Lin Mo Yu's heart moved, and the Death Knights who had been arranged immediately took action, leveling the sand dunes. A large number of sand dunes were destroyed and raised a sky full of yellow sand. The ant nests inside were exposed, and the flying ants vibrated their wings and began to hunt down the Death Knights. In the fortress, Jin Wei knew nothing about what was happening outside the fortress. His attention had been attracted by the severely damaged fortress. Rubble was all over the ground, and the fortress, which was originally passable, collapsed completely at this moment. From afar, he saw the stone demons gathered together, and the corpses of stone demons piled up like a mountain. What happened? His voice was deafening, and in 2 steps he had already arrived in front of the mountain of corpses. Looking at the rubble piled up like a hill, he asked again, what exactly happened? Under his questioning, a stone demon whispered, "It's Lin Moi, he came, and we had a great battle with him." Jin Wei had actually guessed it, and shouted angrily, "Tell me the result." "We lost a lot of people, and he was also seriously injured, and he ran away." Another stone demon replied in a low voice. Jin Wei said in a deep voice, "So many of you, can't you keep him?" The stone demons looked at me, I looked at you, and remained silent. Jin Wei knew that these guys were not smart, and he probably couldn't ask anything. Moreover, stone demons are not good at speed. If Lin Moi happened to have a magic weapon in this area, or was good at speed, it would be really difficult to chase. In addition, Lin Moi has the ability to kill all the stone demons in the middle area, which shows that his own combat power is strong enough. Otherwise, it would be impossible to be listed as the number 1 person on the must-kill list. Jin Wei tried his best to suppress his anger. Is he really seriously injured? Seriously injured, the stone demons said in unison. Jin Wei glanced at the mountain of corpses, then looked at the surviving stone demons, and muttered to himself, killed 15, was seriously injured, and fled in panic. It seems that he should have used all his trump cards, and his combat power should be higher than the 9th rank of the God King, but not as good as the little god Venerable. If it were me, even if I couldn't beat these stupid guys, I could at least retreat calmly without getting injured. After some analysis, Jin Wei judged that Lin Moi's strength should not be as good as his own. If he hadn't left at that time, Lin Moi would have been able to kill him. But he happened to leave, and Jin Wei regretted his decision at the time. At that time, he didn't expect that Lin Moi would be so brave that he dared to attack the base camp. But Lin Moi shouldn't know that he was guarding it. So, after he recovers from his injuries, he is very likely to come back again. Maybe he will come back before he recovers from his injuries. He was able to kill half of the 30 God Kings of the 9th rank before, and now there are only 15 God Kings of the 9th rank left. He will definitely not let it go. I just need to wait here, and wait for him to come back by himself. There is no need to go out and look for him. This is the saying in the human race, waiting for the rabbit by the tree. Jin Wei made a decision. He decided to wait for Lin Moi to come back in the fortress. Using 15 God Kings as bait, he didn't believe that Lin Moi wouldn't come back. And he firmly believed that Lin Moi didn't know of his existence, so when Lin Moi came back, it would be his death. Although Lin Moi had never met Jin Wei, it seemed that everything was proceeding according to the script he had arranged. The only problem in the whole plan was Jin Hui's reaction. In case Jin Wei left the fortress in the first place, then his next arrangements would be in vain. Although he also arranged some backhands, he was not sure whether these backhands could kill Jin Wei. But as long as Jin Wei didn't leave the fortress, then everything would proceed according to his arrangements. He mainly played on the information gap. Jin Wei didn't know that he already knew of his existence. Moreover, the stone demons in the fortress, whether alive or dead, had become weapons to kill him. The fortress will become your grave. Lin Moi's eyes became grim, and everything was proceeding according to the script he had envisioned. Although Jin Wei was smart, he was obviously not that smart yet. A few hours later, a sandstorm visited the fortress. Jin Wei had seen many sandstorms and didn't take it seriously. But as time went by, the sandstorm became more and more violent and began to affect the line of sight. Jin Wei still didn't react. Such sandstorms were still common in the lowest desert. He even closed his eyes and let the sandstorm fall on him. In the sandstorm, there was a little golden light, which was the luster on Jin Hui's body, representing his special bloodline. Until the sandstorm completely submerged this golden light, Jin Wei suddenly felt something abnormal. The line of sight had been completely blocked. Even if he raised his hand to his eyes, it was difficult to see clearly. The sandstorm contained special laws, and the soul induction was greatly weakened, basically useless. Jin Wei slowly stood up. His voice sounded in the sandstorm. Who is nearby? The sandstorm swallowed his voice with a whistling wind. He changed to the sound of the soul and shouted again. But there was still no response. He finally realized that something was wrong. At this time, a buzzing sound was heard in the ear, which was the sound of the wings of the flying ants vibrating. The buzzing sound expanded sharply, coming from all directions, intertwined with the whistling sandstorm. Jin Hui's expression changed. This level of sound, the number of flying ants had reached a terrifying level, even he felt a sense of scalp tingling. The most bizarre thing was the surroundings, there was no sound at all. Could it be that the remaining stone demons were all dead? Jin Hui moved suddenly, he let out a sound wave from his mouth, and the La domain opened suddenly. The La domain shattered the sandstorm, and a blank area appeared in the line of sight. 393. Then he saw a few skeletons riding war horses, he saw the Death Knights, and he also saw the flying ants behind the Death Knights. Before he could react, the Death Knights suddenly disappeared. Disappeared. Jin Hui was slightly stunned, then his eyes changed drastically. The Death Knights disappeared, so the attack target of the flying ants behind them naturally became himself. However, this situation is not only in front of him. There is behind, there are left and right, and even overhead. Sure enough, only half a second later, the flying ants had a new target, it was Jin Hui. Countless flying ants suddenly pounced on Jin Hui and surrounded him. Jin Hui let out a roar, and golden light shone all over his body. At this moment, he did not look like a stone demon, but more like a golden eagle tribe, or a golden demon. Along with the golden light, his La domain burst out. In the La domain, a soul suddenly jumped out. The soul was also covered with golden light spots, exactly the same as Jin Hui. At the peak of the God King realm, the soul has been integrated with the La domain, and has even begun to completely withdraw the La into the soul. At this time, the soul is manifested in the La domain, manipulating the La, using the La, and can exert power far superior to the flesh. Jin Hui waved the La, forming blocks of stone flashing with golden light, and smashed the flying ants like raindrops. The flying ants hit by the stones instantly burst apart. It's just that there are too many flying ants. After a wave is smashed to death, there will be a second wave, a third wave, endless. Chapter 1351. Can't you afford to play? Lin Moi watched from afar, watching the battlefield with the eyes of the undead. He saw Jin Hui surrounded by countless flying ants, and the souls of the flying ants were constantly extinguished, being killed by Jin Hui. Compared with ordinary stone demons, Jin Hui, who is also the 9th rank of the God King, has more than one level of combat power. Even if he is far away, Lin Moi can vaguely feel the power of the La domain. That is a complete level, a La with 100% control, very powerful. Lin Moi can even imagine that Jin Hui used the soul La domain, using the soul to manipulate the La domain, in order to exert a more powerful force. Is this the power that surpasses the 9th rank of the God King? He's not even a lesser god yet, and he's already this powerful. Wouldn't the little bright King Bodhisattva, who is a lesser god, be even stronger? It seems that not going to find the little bright King Bodhisattva right away was the right choice. Lin Moyu was still wary of the little bright King Bodhisattva. If it wasn't necessary, he didn't want to come into contact with the little bright King Bodhisattva. After all, with his strength, he couldn't contend with a lesser god for the time being. This wasn't fear. If the little bright King Bodhisattva wanted to harm him, he still had ways to kill the little bright King Bodhisattva, and protecting his life wouldn't be a problem. But there was no need to waste his trump cards on such an insignificant person. Within the intense and dense sandstorm, golden light could occasionally be seen. The intense aura of laws swept across hundreds of thousands of miles. The sandstorm was constantly dispersed by the powerful laws, but it would quickly gather again. The Death Knight didn't stop at all, constantly bombarding the yellow sand earth, constantly stirring up yellow sand, forming an even more intense sandstorm. Seeing the number of soul fires of the flying ants constantly decreasing, Lin Moyu couldn't help but admire Jin Hui's combat power. Facing hundreds of 6-winged flying ants at the 9th rank of God King, plus hundreds of thousands of 4-winged flying ants at the 8th rank of God King, Jin Hui was actually able to persist for so long. Finally, the soul fire representing Jin Hui began to charge outwards. The flying ants were scattered as Jin Hui charged out with unparalleled force. Is he at his limit? Or has he used up all his methods and knows that if he doesn't leave now, he won't be able to leave? Lin Moyu's eyes flickered as he issued his second command. The current situation was also within his expectations, and he wasn't surprised. Faced with so many flying ants, even a lesser god would have to flee in panic. Jin Wei wasn't even a lesser god, so being able to persist to this point was truly not easy. Outside the sandstorm, the starlight lich flickered, and a brilliant Milky Way suddenly appeared within the sandstorm. Even the sandstorm couldn't conceal the beautiful light of the Milky Way. 10,000 starlights shot out from the lawful galaxy, interweaving a dreamlike world. Jin Wei, who was breaking through, suddenly froze, and hallucinations appeared before his eyes. An illusion diaresis. He immediately realized that he had fallen into an illusion, and then he was horrified. The flying ants wouldn't use illusions, so who was using the illusions? There was no need to say more. In that instant, Jin Wei connected the dots and realized that the sandstorm, the flying ants, including the illusion before his eyes, were all set up by Lin Moyu in advance. Unknowingly, he had entered Lin Moyu's trap. But he couldn't figure out what was going on with those stone demons. The stone demons were his subordinates, his clansmen. It was impossible for them to deceive him, and it was even more impossible for them to join forces with Lin Moyu to harm him. Even if he racked his brains, he couldn't possibly understand that Lin Moyu had the ability to resurrect the dead, allowing the dead to become his puppets, his weapons. Jin Hui's entire body emitted a dazzling light, the lawful domain unfolded again, and his soul, clad in laws, burst out with a sharp golden light. The golden light pierced through the illusion, and the starlight lich quickly returned to the lawful galaxy and disappeared. The starlight lich's limit was to trap a 9th-rank god king, but obviously Jin Wei couldn't be regarded as an ordinary 9th-rank god king. The illusion only trapped him for a moment, but that moment was enough to cause a change in the battle situation. He was once again surrounded by the flying ant swarm, and his breakthrough failed. Jin Wei trembled with anger, but there was nothing he could do. In fact, until now, he hadn't even seen Lin Moyu's face. Lin Moyu hadn't even made a move. He had been fighting the flying ants all along. Lin Moyu, you bastard, coward, I'm going to tear you to pieces. His soul roared in anger, his voice traveling millions of kilometers, reaching Lin Moyu's ears. Lin Moyu didn't take it seriously and said calmly, returning the favor with the same coin, can't you afford to play? Everyone plays traps, you can, but I can't. Isn't it just that you can't afford to play? Jin Wei tried to break through again, his entire body curled up into a ball, revealing a powerful defense. The flying ants' attacks landed on him, only causing some insignificant damage. But before he could roll out 2 steps, before his speed could pick up, the illusion descended again. In the descent, he seemed to be in the starry sky, losing his sense of direction. He didn't know where he should roll, which direction he should break through. He could only unfold the lawful domain again to break the illusion. The starlight lich's illusion could entrap him, but it could constantly affect him. In the sandstorm, his vision and soul were obscured. Jin Wei couldn't find the starlight lich's location, so he couldn't attack the starlight lich. In other words, he couldn't stop the starlight lich's illusion harassment. Jin Wei had already realized that it was impossible for him to break through successfully. At least until the illusion problem was resolved, he shouldn't think about breaking through. Since he couldn't break through, now he only had 2 results. One was to die here, killed by the flying ants. The other was to eliminate these flying ants. He chose the second option. He curled up his body again, and his body emitted a hazy golden light. At this moment, he turned himself into a big golden lump. The golden light formed a halo, blocking the attacks of the flying ants. In the undead vision, Jin Hui's soul fire suddenly became extremely strong, and it became more and more intense, as if it was about to break through some kind of limit. An uneasy feeling arose in his heart. Without thinking, he immediately issued an order, ordering all the stone demon resurrected to quickly move away. Leave the fortress, the further the better. The starlight lich was the same, fleeing quickly. 10 seconds later, Jin Hui's soul fire reached its limit, and then exploded. A ball of golden light pierced through space, pierced through the barrier of the sandstorm, as if a star had appeared on the earth. Fortunately, the undead vision ignored the dazzling golden light. In the eyes of the skeletons, there were only 2 colors, gray and white. Lin Moyu personally saw the flying ant group annihilated. Hundreds of thousands of soul fires disappeared in an instant. The golden light was like a big hand, completely erasing the money from this world. What a great map-wide attack. Lin Moyu couldn't help but sigh. He estimated that this was the secret technique brought by Jin Hui's special bloodline, and its power was indeed strong. If it were him, he probably wouldn't be able to withstand it either. But it didn't matter, he wasn't afraid of death. Although this secret technique was powerful, it was still a bit short of killing him. After the secret technique, Jin Hui's soul fire became extremely weak. But then it began to become strong again, and it recovered more than half in just 2 or 3 seconds. The Stone Demon's Resurrection ability, an ability that all 9th rank God King's stone demons could possess. Within a certain period of time, use it to resurrect yourself once and regain vitality. After using the secret technique, Jin Wei reached his limit and entered a state of resurrection. The sandstorm enveloped down again, engulfing Jin Wei. The previous attack could kill the flying ants, but it couldn't extinguish the ubiquitous sandstorm. Lin Moyu's heart stirred, and the stone demons who had just moved away quickly returned. The Starlight Lich also rushed back. Chapter 1352 let you see the combat power of a lesser god. The stone demons curled up their bodies and rolled over as stone balls. Jin Wei had just completed his resurrection when the stone balls were already before his eyes. Jin Wei felt a trace of something wrong. When the flying ants besieged him just now, these stone demon subordinates didn't react. But now, they came. And in the sandstorm, how did they find him? Although he didn't believe that his clansmen would betray him, Jin Wei still chose to move away. Now that the flying ant swarm has been killed by himself, no one can stop him. He was about to leave when his eyes blurred, and he lost his sense of direction again. Illusion. Jin Wei gritted his teeth, unfolded the law domain, and his soul was about to leap out to break the illusion. But suddenly, he felt a palpitation, and his soul shrank back. At the same time, he shrank himself into a ball, with the law all over his body, turning into armor. Boom! The terrifying explosion reached the soul and resounded in the sandstorm. The Rolling Stone Demon, after approaching Jin Wei, detonated without hesitation. The power of the self-explosion of the 9th Order God King has exceeded their full blow. Although it is not as good as the little god Venerable, it is still very scary. Jin Wei, who was curled up in a ball, let out a muffled groan, and the golden light on his body quickly dimmed. Even if he was fully defended, he was still injured by the self-destruction of the stone demon in the same realm. Immediately afterwards, 880 stone demons rolled in from all directions. For a time, the roar continued, and the self-destruction occurred one after another. The power of the self-destruction rose into the sky, forming a strong shock wave, blowing away the sandstorm. After a full 15 self-explosions, the golden light on Jin Wei's body had completely dissipated. The curled-up body was blasted, scarred and bruised all over. The body was like fragments scattered on the ground, piece by piece. Jin Wei's aura declined to the extreme, and at this time his eyes were full of confusion. How could it be? How could it be like this? His voice trembled, not knowing whether it was because of anger, or because of fear, or purely because he was blasted. In his sight, a human race stepped on the yellow sand and walked slowly. The second time I saw Lin Moyu, the first time was at Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva's place. What I saw that time was a projection, this time it was a real person. Jin Wei's eyes shrank suddenly, revealing the light of hatred, Lin Moyu, a hateful human race. Lin Moyu shook his head, do you think it's interesting to say that? The human race and the demon race are mortal enemies. The two sides have endless sorrows, and they will do whatever it takes to kill each other if possible. Lin Moyu knew that Jin Wei was not stupid and could communicate like a normal person. That's why he appeared, so that Jin Wei died with peace of mind. Ignoring Jin Hui's hateful gaze, Lin Moyu said in a low voice, do you have any last words? Jin Wei sneered, what, do you still want to help me take my last words back? Lin Moyu shook his head, no, just let you say it, so you can die comfortably. Ha ha, hearing Lin Moyu's words, Jin Wei suddenly laughed out loud. His laughter was hoarse and unpleasant, but seeing that he was about to die, Lin Moyu still endured it. After laughing for a few seconds, Jin Hui's eyes suddenly turned fierce, do you think you are sure to win? Suddenly a golden heart appeared in his hand. The golden light flowed on the golden heart, beating up and down. The golden heart suddenly transformed streamer drilled into Jin Hui's body, and Jin Hui's breath quickly began to rise. The surrounding gravel automatically flew up and returned to Jin Hui's body. Revival. Lin Moyu was slightly taken aback, unexpectedly it was revival. The 9th Order God King only has one chance of revival, and Jin Wei has already used it. The revival in front of him is not his own ability, but is related to the stone heart just now. Lin Moyu waved his hand and launched an attack, and the attack was blocked by the golden light. Jin Wei was surrounded by golden light, and laughed wildly again. Lin Moyu discovered that this revival was different from ordinary revival. When the stone demon is revival, it cannot move or speak. But the Jin Wei in front of him, although he is also in a state of revival, can laugh and speak. Moreover, the golden light protecting him is very powerful, and Lin Moyu felt that he should not be able to break it. He realized that this was a treasure of a very high level. Jin Wei put away his laughter. Unexpectedly, I still have trump cards. My father is Jin Shi. Do you know who Jin Shi is? You don't know. How could you know the power of that kind of character with your level? You ACEI have seen my trap. Your methods are indeed very clever, and your combat power is also very strong. But I have not only temporarily revived, but also can temporarily possess the combat power of a small god. This time, it's your turn to leave a last word. Seeing Jin Hui's madness, Lin Moyu curled his lips. Based on his understanding of Jin Wei should not be so high profile. Could it be that the treasure changed his character? It's not impossible. How could such a powerful treasure have no price? Or rather, Jin Wei did it on purpose, in fact, to delay time, or is there another possibility? Lin Moyu thought of many possibilities, and quickly locked in the most likely one. Jin Wei was scaring himself, trying to scare himself away. This golden stone heart can revive him, but the Jin Wei after revival may not be able to return to its peak state. Moreover, he has exhausted all his trump cards, and does not want to fight himself before reaching his peak state. So he wanted to scare himself away. This possibility is very high. Lin Moyu smiled slightly. I also want to see how strong the combat power of the little god is. Jin Hui's laughter came to an abrupt end, and he said in a muffled voice, aren't you afraid of death? Lin Moyu shook his head. Trying may not necessarily lead to death. Jin Wei said in a deep voice, okay, since you are looking for death yourself, then you can't blame me. Revival reached the end, and the golden light wrapping him quickly shrank, all incorporated into his body. Jin Hui's aura also reached its peak at this moment, quickly breaking through the limitations of the Ninth Order God King, and truly stepping into the level of the Little God Venerable. Lin Moyu was no stranger to Little God Venerable. He had entered that level, so he was also very familiar with the aura of Little God Venerable. Jin Wei did enter the level of Little God Venerable, but it was forcibly promoted. He can't maintain this state for long, at most 1 or 2 minutes. Moreover, this is still a non-combat state, and once in combat, it may be even shorter. After all, it is not his own power, and it will be gone when it is used up, not if he wants to use it. Lin Moyu also felt that Jin Hui's aura was unstable. Obviously his injuries had not healed, especially the soul-level injuries, which could not be said to be healed. If he was scared away, perhaps this part of the power would become the power to heal his injuries. But now, he has to raise his realm to the Little God Venerable. After being promoted to Little God Venerable, Jin Wei laughed loudly. This is the power of Little God Venerable. Lin Moyu looked at him. Hurry up, you only have less than 2 minutes. I was seen through, but so what, 2 minutes is enough to kill you. Jin Wei waved his huge fist and bombarded towards Lin Moyu's head. He is 30 meters tall, and Lin Moyu is like a small ant in front of him. Lin Moyu didn't dodge or evade, and what responded to him was the Skeleton King's sword. Art. Godslayer. The Skeleton King slashed out a sword in the distance, and the sword light exploded on Jin Hui's fist. Golden light flickered on Jin Wei's fist, blocking the sword strike, but it was inevitably deflected by the sword light, and this punch did not hit Lin Moyu. The fist landed on the yellow sand, and a pillar of sand soared into the sky. Lin Moyu stood in the sand, shaking his head and saying, it's not your own power, so you can't control it precisely. Chapter 1353. Leave within a second, or destroy your main body. Jin Wei punched down again. Lin Moyu still didn't move, and gently tapped his finger on the fist. Stellar level spell. Corpse explosion. Boom. In the intense explosion, the fist was deflected again. Lin Moyu had left behind 15 stone demon corpses earlier. Most of them were piled into small hills for Jin Wei to see, to stimulate Jin Wei. He also collected some of them and used them as materials for corpse explosion. At this moment, he detonated a corpse, and the power that erupted was no less than the previous self-destruction. After being blocked twice in a row, Jin Wei was so angry that he screamed. Lin Moyu felt that the treasure just now had indeed had a certain impact on Jin Wei. In fact, Jin Hui's most correct approach before was to turn around and run away. With the power boosted to the level of a minor god, it would have been difficult for him to stop Jin Wei if he had wanted to escape. But now, after being blocked twice in a row, it seemed to have little impact, but it had actually cost Jin Wei the chance to escape. His power boosted to the level of a minor god was limited and couldn't last long. Especially after launching an attack, the duration was even shorter. Lin Moyu didn't give Jin Wei a chance and pointed his fingers out one after another. 5 explosions in a row blossomed on Jin Hui's body. He was blown back again and again. Even after reaching the minor god level, he would still be blown back when facing an attack equivalent to a god king's 9th order self-destruction. It's just that he was not injured, and the power of the minor god protected him. But also because of this, the power of the minor god was rapidly consumed and was about to fail to maintain. When the realm fell, the previous injuries would also erupt. Jin Wei seemed to be awakened by the explosion, screamed strangely, shrank himself into a ball, and with the last bit of the power of a minor god, he was about to escape. But as soon as he turned around, a breath belonging to a minor god suddenly rose behind him. Too late. Lin Moyu activated 2 major original spells at the same time, and his aura rose sharply, reaching the minor god realm in a blink of an eye. Although the law level was not good, the aura realm was a real minor god, stronger than Jin Hui's previous minor god. The only problem was that Lin Moyu couldn't last long either, at most half a minute. But this half minute was enough to kill Jin Wei. Jin Wei was terrified and rolled quickly, covering thousands of kilometers in a blink of an eye. The golden ball rolled quickly on the lowest sand. Jin Wei kept shouting in his heart, "Faster, faster." At this moment, Lin Moyu suddenly appeared directly in front of him, and then a sword light lit up. Jin Hui's consciousness fell into boundless darkness and quickly dissipated. The golden ball rolled out hundreds of kilometers, smashed several sand dunes before slowly stopping. Jin Wei was already dead, his aura rapidly declined, falling to the 9th order of the God King. However, Lin Moyu could feel that his vitality was actually much stronger than that of the 9th order of the God King. If his corpse was used for corpse explosion, the effect would be far better than that of an ordinary 9th order God King. It would be no problem to injure a minor god. Lin Moyu was about to put away Jin Hui's body when he suddenly smiled slightly. "Little bright King Bodhisattva, come out and meet." On Jin Hui's back, an inconspicuous place suddenly lit up with a ball of Buddha light. Then the phantom of Little Bright King Bodhisattva rose from the Buddha light. "Greetings, fellow Taoist Lin." Lin Moyu had no interest in the Buddhist clan and had no good feelings. But on the surface, Lin Moyu still showed the respect he should. "Greetings, Little Buddha." He called the other party Little Buddha, not Bodhisattva. This was also a kind of respect, at least it could make Little Bright King Bodhisattva feel happy in his heart. Little Bright King Bodhisattva showed a smile. "Fellow Taoist Lin is too kind. Originally, I didn't want to appear, but I really have something to ask fellow Taoist Lin for help." The reason why he was able to discover the mark left by Little Bright King Bodhisattva was also because the mark actively moved, otherwise it would have been really difficult to discover. "Little Buddha, please speak." Lin Moyu directly opened his mouth. Little Bright King Bodhisattva announced a Buddhist title, Amitabha. "It's about the Yellow Sand Lake. I have summoned the minor god of the Sand Clan and the leader of the Earth Monster Clan to discuss the Yellow Sand Lake together." Lin Moyu's heart moved. He had long suspected the Yellow Sand Lake and believed that the existence of the Yellow Sand Land was strange. But on the surface, he remained calm and his expression did not change at all. "How to discuss it?" Little Bright King Bodhisattva said, "We will meet in the central lake, each standing on one side, keeping tens of thousands of kilometers apart, and discuss." "What does fellow Taoist Lin think?" Lin Moyu thought for a while. "Okay." A look of joy appeared on Little Bright King Bodhisattva's face. "If that's the case, then we'll meet in the central lake in 5 days. "Okay." Lin Moyu nodded in agreement. Little Bright King Bodhisattva announced a Buddhist title again before leaving. Lin Moyu put away Jin Hui's body. Originally, he wanted to turn Jin Wei into a revenant and ask how to get to the Nether Swamp. But now that Little Bright King Bodhisattva suddenly said that he wanted to discuss the Yellow Sand Lake with him, Lin Moyu felt that it might be related to the Nether Swamp. So he temporarily put aside the idea of turning Jin Wei into a revenant. If the Yellow Sand Lake has nothing to do with the Nether Swamp, it won't be too late to ask Jin Wei. Anyway, as long as the body is in his hands, he can ask clearly at any time. 0 Seeking fresh flowers 0. Outside the lowest desert, the nightmare god suddenly looked up at the dark starry sky. Zhu Qiwu looked up a step earlier than him. After that, several gods looked up one by one. They looked in the same direction, where a huge and terrifying power was rapidly approaching. This power transformed into a face belonging to a stone demon. It's just that this stone demon's face is golden and exudes a majestic aura. A huge pressure emanated from the void, covering this starry sky. Then this face crashed towards the lowest desert. The lowest desert emitted a violent light, and for a time the yellow sand rose, blocking the giant face. The giant face collided several times, but failed to break in. 0. Terrifying energy spread in the void, terrifying. The nightmare god, with shock, his voice slightly dry, Lord Jinshi. This golden stone demon giant face is Lord Jinshi. Why did Lord Jinshi suddenly descend a projection, and why did he want to rush into the lowest desert? An ominous thought came to his mind. Did something happen to Jin Wei? The next second, he felt that this possibility was extremely high, otherwise why would Lord Jinshi suddenly appear? At this time, another terrifying force appeared in the void, transforming into a black-clothed man. The black-clothed man had a noble and dignified aura, making it impossible to look directly at him. As soon as he appeared, he sent a palm strike towards Jinshi. The immense power scattered Jinshi. Jinshi angrily said, "You dare to stop me? Get back, this is not a place for you." The black-clothed man's voice was icy cold, not giving Jinshi any respect. Without waiting for Jinshi to reply, the black-clothed man continued, "If you don't return in 1 second, I will destroy your true form." This was a blatant threat, showing no respect to Jinshi. It was clear that the black-clothed man was much stronger than Jinshi. Jinshi grunted, but surprisingly didn't retort, and his giant face quickly disappeared. Subsequently, the black-clothed man also disappeared into the starry sky. Nightmare God Sovereign finally breathed a sigh of relief. What a terrifying existence. In the dark depths of space, Zhu Qiwu's eyes shone with envy and anticipation. He wasn't afraid, but rather excited. Firstly, he was excited about the realm that he would soon reach. Secondly, he was excited that Lin Mo might have killed Jin Wei, otherwise Jinshi wouldn't have been so furious. Good job, kid. 3. Chapter 1354. The Monster in the Yellow Sand Lake, So Ugly. On the yellow sand land, Lin Mo saw countless yellow sands rising into the sky. Faintly, he seemed to hear terrifying roars. In the sky, 9 fireballs simultaneously erupted with brilliant light, soaring straight into the sky. In the sky, there were layers of yellow halos flashing, like clouds and mist, stunningly beautiful. A terrifying pressure permeated the yellow sand land. Lin Mo narrowed his eyes, not knowing what was happening. He was currently absorbing the soul power from killing Jin Wei, which was more immense and considerable than that of an ordinary god king 9th rank. After these soul powers were refined and absorbed, they could push his cultivation further. At this time, the purple light on Lin Mo's body had not completely disappeared. He had just recovered from a soul collapse not long ago, forcibly elevating his realm to its limit, so soul collapse was inevitable. What exactly is happening? Lin Mo muttered to himself, indicating that he didn't understand. Not only Lin Mo, but everyone in the yellow sand land saw this scene, and no one knew what was happening. Little Bright King Bodhisattva proclaimed a Buddhist prayer. A strange phenomenon appears in the sky. What is the reason for this? Even Little Bright King Bodhisattva, who had reached the Little Buddha realm of the Buddhist clan, equivalent to a little god sovereign in the great world. But he still couldn't understand what was happening outside. Lin Mo watched for a moment, seeing the sky gradually recovering and yellow sand falling like raindrops. He withdrew his gaze and stopped paying attention. Then he turned his gaze to the distance, towards the direction of the central lake. According to the information he now had, in this deep area, besides the largest yellow sand lake in the center, there were 6 yellow sand lakes in total. The 6 yellow sand lakes were evenly distributed in different areas, separated by a long distance. One was near the Demon's Fortress, one was on the territory occupied by the Sand Clan and the Earth Monster Clan, and one was at the junction of the two. The situation with Little Bright King Bodhisattva was similar, with 3 yellow sand lakes also under his control. And the central lake they were going to meet at was guarded by 6 yellow sand lakes in the center, and it was the largest yellow sand lake. Because it was located in the center, it was called the Central Lake. His current distance from the central lake was about 1 billion kilometers, and at his speed, it would take just over a day to arrive. But little bright King Bodhisattva had set a time of 5 days, estimating that the journey wouldn't be smooth. Recalling the information about the Yellow Sand Lake, he found that the Stone Demon clan knew very little about it. They only knew that the water in the Yellow Sand Lake constantly lapped against the shore, and the water would turn into yellow sand each time it lapped. The sand in the Yellow Earth Desert seemed to originate from this. Some stone demons regarded the Yellow Sand Lake as the source of the Yellow Earth Desert, but whether this was the case was hard to say. Lin Mo adjusted his direction, and before heading to the central lake, he planned to take a look at the nearest Yellow Sand Lake first. In less than an hour, after encountering several waves of flying ants, Lin Mo arrived at the edge of the Yellow Sand Lake. He heard the sound of water lapping against the shore, and the Yellow Sand Lake in his sight was very large, larger than he had imagined. The Yellow Sand Lake was generally circular, with a diameter of over 1,000 kilometers, much larger than an oasis. The lake's surface was not calm, with ripples constantly rising, stirring up layers of waves, pushing the lake water forward, and lapping against the shore. The water lapping against the shore all turned into yellow sand. In Lin Mo's eyes, these waters seemed to lose their vitality in an instant, which was why they turned into yellow sand. What he found strange was that such a huge lake had pitifully weak water element laws, completely dominated by earth and stone laws. Earth and stone. Lin Mo was suddenly shocked and retreated violently. The lake surface exploded, lake water soared into the sky, and then fell. The water that fell outside the lake instantly turned into yellow sand. In the water column, a monster with the body of a fish and the head of a dog rushed out of the lake, rose into the air, and pounced on Lin Mo. So ugly. Starry Sky Lich responded and enveloped the monster with the body of a fish and the head of a dog. The monster with the body of a fish and the head of a dog immediately lost its target and rolled continuously in the air. Lin Mo didn't know what illusion it saw, but its movements told him that this guy could fly. It didn't fall, but stopped in midair. Then the flame lich flew out, and raging flames immediately burned on the monster's body. The monster screamed frantically, struggling in the air. Suddenly, it fell from the air, and a water column rushed out of the lake and rolled it back. Return. Lin Mo's heart stirred, and the Flame Lich and Starry Sky Lich returned at the same time, without following into the lake. The situation in the lake was unknown, and Lin Mo didn't intend to act. It was meaningless for the two liches to go in. The monster with the body of a fish and the head of a dog was rolled back into the lake by the yellow water and disappeared. Lin Mo stood by the lake and connected to the undead vision. In the undead vision, the lake water turned gray, indicating that there was no life in this lake. Under the lake surface, in the lake water, there were vaguely a large number of soul fires burning. The lake water blocked the undead vision, making it impossible to see too deeply. Only in the visible area were there already thousands of soul flames, each soul flame representing a God King 9th rank monster. In the invisible depths, it was unknown how many there were, perhaps countless. There were so many in one yellow sand lake, and there were 6 such yellow sand lakes. In addition, there was a central lake, which was many times larger, and there were probably more monsters inside. Lin Mo felt that his thoughts were correct, monsters were the masters of this world. Mere Jinwei and the like were nothing in the face of the astonishing number of monsters. You can kill 1,000, 10,000, 100,000. What about 1,000,000, 10 million? Little bright King Bodhisattva would also die regrettably. A sense of awe arose in Lin Mo's heart, an awe of the Yellow Earth Desert. Fortunately, these monsters obviously couldn't leave the Yellow Sand Lake. The monster just now almost left, but was rolled back by the water. Judging from the situation of the Yellow Sand Lake water lapping the shore and turning into sand, if these monsters came to the ground, would they also turn into sand? It wasn't impossible. A skeleton god warrior appeared beside Lin Mo, and with a wave, the skeleton god warrior bravely jumped into the lake. Like the Death Knight, the skeleton god warrior didn't have a trace of vitality. Lin Mo observed and found that after entering the lake, the skeleton god warrior was indeed not attacked by the monsters in the lake, and then he felt relieved. Point 7 Lin Mo Yu then took control of the skeleton god warrior. In the skeleton god warrior's vision, he saw a large number of monsters with fish bodies and dog heads floating in the lake. They seemed to be asleep, not swimming like fish, but floating up and down with the undercurrents of the lake. This was similar to the state of dormant flying ants in an ant nest. If they didn't encounter enemies, they wouldn't take any action either. Even when the skeleton god warrior, controlled by Lin Mo Yu, passed close to them, they didn't react at all. Lin Mo Yu tried this several times, and later even reached out to gently touch the monsters. The monsters' soul flames flickered weakly a few times, but there was still no movement. Clearly, a gentle touch hadn't reached their awakening threshold. Lin Mo Yu was even more relieved and controlled the skeleton god warrior to sink quickly towards the bottom of the lake. Chapter 1355. The Secret of the Yellow Sand Lake Bottom. The lake was very deep. As he continued to descend, the number of monsters in sight increased, which was quite spectacular. These were all invisible from the surface of the lake. At this moment, Lin Mo Yu felt that this yellow sand lake was like a huge armory. The monsters inside were like weapons that would actively attack and had powerful combat capabilities, and could also be regarded as puppets of the human race. If they were deployed on the battlefield, the effect would probably be terrifying. Besides me, no one else should have entered the bottom of the lake. With so many monsters present, Lin Mo Yu believed that even little Ming Bodhisattva couldn't come down. In that case, if there were any secrets in the yellow sand lake, even little yellow Bodhisattva wouldn't know. As he continued to descend, the yellow sand lake gradually became turbid, the yellow sand in the water began to increase, and the aura of laws became more intense. Each grain of yellow sand here contained extremely strong laws, much richer than the yellow sand on the ground. Without the monster crystal cores, just this yellow sand was the best material for comprehending earth and stone laws. Finally, he arrived at the bottom of the lake. The aura of laws at the bottom of the lake became even more intense and powerful, and the density of monsters here also became extremely high. Lin Mo Yu controlled the skeleton god warrior and walked towards the center of the lake. He had to constantly avoid these fish-bodied, dog-headed monsters, so the speed was relatively slow. After walking cautiously for more than an hour, he finally arrived at the center of the lake. Then Lin Mo Yu saw an amazing scene. In the center of the lake bottom, an array was slowly operating. Streams of water rolled yellow sand over and gathered in the center of the array. This yellow sand was constantly refined by the array, gradually merging together, and finally forming a crystal core. A crystal core of the 9th rank of the God King. Then more yellow sand automatically gathered, and the laws in the yellow sand gathered and took shape, gradually turning into a dog's head. After the dog's head, a fish body slowly appeared, and finally turned into a monster with a dog's head and a fish's body. The monster opened its eyes, silently left, and joined the monster group in the lake, and began to sleep again. The array also fell into a dormant state after manufacturing a monster, seemingly accumulating power, preparing for the next manufacturing. Lin Mo Yu watched the whole process and didn't know what to say for a while. After thinking for a long time, he could only use the 4 words, amazing, to describe it. The scene before him was too magical. These monsters were actually manufactured in this way. The whole process didn't require any manual intervention. In just 1 hour, a 9th rank God King monster was manufactured. Lin Mo Yu felt that he had seen an incredible secret and knew the origin of the monsters in the Yellow Earth Desert. Perhaps in every corner of the Yellow Earth Desert, there were many similar arrays that were constantly manufacturing monsters. But what Lin Mo Yu couldn't understand was, what was the purpose of the Yellow Earth Desert doing this? Controlling the skeleton god warrior to turn around at the bottom of the lake, he found a passage. This passage seemed to only allow exit and not entry. The skeleton god warrior couldn't enter, and after trying several times, he could only choose to give up. However, Lin Mo Yu also had some guesses about this passage, because streams of water were constantly flowing out of the passage. Lin Mo Yu guessed that this passage might be the lake's water channel. Perhaps it was connected to other yellow sand lakes, including the central lake. Retracting the skeleton god warrior, he calculated the time and found that a day had passed, and there were still 4 days left until the time agreed upon with little Ming Bodhisattva. It's time to set off. Lin Mo Yu no longer wasted time and headed towards the central lake. Lin Mo Yu transformed into light, advancing at the fastest speed that the Yellow Earth Desert could accommodate. He would occasionally encounter attacks from flying ants along the way, but even so, after a day, Lin Mo Yu had traveled most of the distance. At this moment, he was still 400 million kilometers away from the central lake. As he got closer and closer to the central lake, Lin Mo Yu felt the change in laws. The laws of the earth were decreasing, and the laws of earth and stone were increasing. These 2 laws were the main body of the Yellow Earth Desert, and changes in their proportions would also cause other reactions. There were no laws of the earth in the yellow sand lake, only laws of earth and stone. The monsters inside were dog-headed, fish-bodied monsters, which formed a sharp contrast with the flying ants in the yellow earth. The changes in laws before him made Lin Moyu realize that he might encounter new monsters. And it was very likely that they were 9th-ranked God King monsters, which couldn't be bypassed and were not easy to deal with. Otherwise, little Ming Bodhisattva wouldn't have set a 5-day time limit. The Death Knight took the first step, ran ahead of Lin Moyu, and observed with the undead vision. As long as they weren't monsters like flying ants, the undead vision could discover the opponent earlier. After advancing another tens of millions of kilometers, the laws of the earth became weaker and weaker. At this moment, 90% of the laws were occupied by the laws of earth and stone. Finally, a group of bright and powerful soul flames appeared in the undead vision. Then, one group after another of soul flames appeared, densely packed, extending towards the distance. Small mountains, each hundreds of meters high, coiled on the earth, forming a mountain range. In the center of each small mountain, there was a cluster of soul flames burning fiercely. These 100-meter small mountains were monsters, 100-meter mountain monsters, blocking Lin Moyu's path forward. The Death Knights advancing from other directions constantly sent back information. No matter which direction they went, as long as they wanted to enter the central lake, they couldn't bypass these mountain monsters. Flying was not allowed in the Yellow Earth Desert. There was no other way but to fight in. Lin Moyu finally understood the reason why little Ming Bodhisattva set a 5-day appointment. Most likely it was because of these mountain monsters. Analyzing from the strength of the soul flames, the mountain monsters in front of him were all 9th-ranked God King monsters. Their bodies were covered with earth and stone laws, and their defense wouldn't be worse than that of a stone demon of the same realm. Because of the difference in size, it was estimated that they would be stronger than stone demons of the same realm in terms of strength. High defense and not weak attack, not very easy to deal with. Let's try it first. With a thought, the Starlight Lich and the Flame Lich appeared beside him. The Starlight Lich summoned a projection of the Lost Star River, integrated into it, and enveloped a mountain monster. Strangely, the mountain monster didn't move at all, as if the illusion had no effect on it. The next second, the Flame Lich also summoned the Flame Lost Star River, and flames poured down, igniting the mountain monster. This time the mountain monster reacted. Its whole body trembled, and a huge eye appeared at the waist of the mountain. The eyes were also covered by earth and stone laws, with a hazy light. Then 2 giant hands composed entirely of earth and stone grew on both sides, and the giant hands waved in the void, emitting powerful earth and stone laws. The earth and stone laws swept across its body, extinguishing the flames like a storm. Then the earth and stone laws turned into a giant palm and slammed heavily on the projection of the Lost Star River in the air. Whether it was the Flame Star River projection or the Starlight Star River projection, they were shaken by this palm. A large number of Legion rulers appeared behind Lin Moyu and began to heal. The flames poured down again, the starlight swayed, and continued to create illusions. The mountain monster waved its huge palm, hitting the Lost Star River again and again. His body was huge, but his movements were extremely fast. He slapped dozens of palms in a second, and the 2 Lost Star Rivers shattered. The Flame Lich and Starlight Lich fell from the shattered river of laws, quickly returning. They were already injured, but with the Legion Overlord present, these injuries could be quickly healed. Lin Moyu frowned slightly. This hill giant was not easy to deal with. Chapter 1356. Powerful Hill Giant, Familiar Routine. The Starlight Lich's illusion had no effect on the hill giant. Then the effectiveness of the Flame Lich, who cooperated with it, would be greatly reduced. The Lich's attack was strong, among the top in the same realm. But similarly, the Lich's defense was very weak, at the bottom of the same realm. This was determined by the Lich's characteristics, with obvious advantages and disadvantages. The key was how you used it. Lin Moyu clearly knew the advantages and disadvantages after summoning the Lich. So he had always let the Starlight Lich assist, maximizing the advantages of the Flame Lich. But when facing the hill giant, the Starlight Lich's illusion failed, and the Flame Lich's weakness was revealed. The hill giant began to rush towards Lin Moyu. It did not have feet under the mountain, but its speed was very fast, and it was very smooth without undulation, dragging a huge gully in the sand. This way of moving was very strange, appearing somewhat eerie, as if someone was pushing this small mountain forward. Lin Moyu pointed his finger towards the sky, and undead flames appeared out of thin air, burning fiercely. 9-star spell. Summon Skeleton King. A huge skeleton throne appeared in the sky, covering the sky and sun. The Skeleton King stood up from the throne, his scarlet cloak fluttering in the wind. Sword light burst forth, and the Skeleton King slashed out a fierce sword towards the hill giant. The sword light exploded on the hill giant, causing a landslide and rocks to fly everywhere, and the hill giant's momentum was immediately curbed. A huge wound appeared on the hill giant, and countless rocks on the mountain shattered in the sword light. A huge hole appeared above the mountainside. This sword of the Skeleton King caused no small damage to him. But the hill giant was completely unaware of the pain, and seemed very angry after being attacked. It screamed strangely, the laws on its body soared, and the wound slashed out by the Skeleton King began to recover rapidly. Countless yellow sands flew and rolled in, filling the wound. Then the yellow sand turned into stone, quickly merging with the hill giant, and in the blink of an eye, the wound had been restored as before. The hill giant, restored as before, rushed towards Lin Moyu again, with undiminished momentum. The Skeleton King, who was 10,000 meters tall, lowered his head and looked down at the hill giant, red light flashing in his eyes, and the huge bone sword waved, slashing over like swatting a fly. The bone sword drew after images in the air, shattering countless yellow sands flying in the air. With a bang, the bone sword slashed on the hill giant, once again slashing out a huge gap. The hill giant stopped again, shaking non-stop in place, like a tumbler. The Skeleton King's bone sword was subjected to a huge force of recoil, and the Skeleton King, holding the bone sword, kept retreating, stepping out one huge footprint after another on the yellow sand land. The Skeleton King's body was huge, but huge body did not mean that the strength was equally huge. At the level of strength, the hill giant was no worse than the Skeleton King. This sword caused the hill giant to shift its attention to the Skeleton King. It ignored Lin Moyu and began to rush towards the Skeleton King. The yellow sand continued to rush into the hill giant's wound, filling the wound, and restoring it to normal again. The Skeleton King stopped his retreat, waved his long sword and fought with the hill giant. Although the hill giant's body was far inferior to the Skeleton King, its defense was too strong, and its recovery ability was even more amazing. The damage caused to it by the Skeleton King could be recovered in an instant. This was still because the Skeleton King's attack contained the undead laws, and the undead laws slowed down the hill giant's self-healing speed. Otherwise, the speed of recovery would be even more amazing, and it would not be killed at all. The hill giant completely disregarded its own defense, waving its fists to exchange injuries for injuries, in a posture of risking its life with the Skeleton King. The powerful earth and stone laws gave its fists extremely amazing destructive power, and each bombardment could explode into a sky full of yellow sand. Every time they fought, the Skeleton King would retreat uncontrollably. Fortunately, the Legion Overlord was present, and the damage suffered by the Skeleton King could also be quickly recovered. From this point of view, the two were not much different. The attacks of both sides were so simple and brutal, and in the case of extremely different body sizes, they actually fought evenly matched. Lin Moyu frowned slightly as he watched. At first glance, the Skeleton King was not weaker than the hill giant. But he was very clear that the Skeleton King was actually weaker than the hill giant. The hill giant's self-healing power was too strong, and the Skeleton King was relying on the Legion Overlord to be able to fight him to a draw. Without the Legion Overlord, the Skeleton King would not be able to last a few minutes. However, there was only one Skeleton King, but there were countless hill giants. After watching, Lin Moyu was very clear that in this area, without the power of a lesser god sovereign, it was impossible to break through. Even if Jin Wei came here, even if he took out his trump card, it was estimated that it would be difficult to break through. Lin Moyu was thinking about how to break through this area at the smallest cost. Perhaps we can rely on the advantage of speed to force our way through. As soon as this thought arose, he suddenly realized that he had thought something wrong. The existence of the Central Lake was learned from the Stone Demon. And the ordinary God King Ninth Order Stone Demon, obviously could not reach the Central Lake, so how did they know the existence of the Central Lake? Obviously Jin Wei told them, indicating that Jin Wei had been there. Jin Wei broke through this area. The key question was how Jin Wei broke through. It was definitely not a hard break. The Stone Demon would be blocked back by the hill giant even if he rolled himself into a ball. The hill giant was different from the flying ants, it could not roll over. Either Jin Wei had a special method, or Jin Wei found a path to the Central Lake. But the Death Knight has already run far along the hill giant, and has not found the corresponding path. Diaresis, how did Jin Wei do it? The human race had been away from the lowest desert for too long, and their understanding of the lowest desert was too little. Lin Moyu was sure that there must be a way to break through this area, but he did not know how to do it. Without any clues, Lin Moyu extinguished his thoughts. The time was too short, it was impossible for him to find the right way. Now there were only two paths in front of him, one was to raise his strength to the realm of a lesser god sovereign and force his way through. The second was to lure away these hill giants. Since there was no road, then he would create a road himself. He was very skilled at luring monsters, it was not a problem. Now he was already a true god 9th order, and one step further would be the God King realm. If he used the source spell to raise his realm and kill his way in, he would inevitably absorb a large amount of soul power. If he was not careful, he would directly push himself to the God King realm. This was not what he wanted, he had not fully comprehended the laws of the true God realm, and he still needed time to check for omissions and consolidate his foundation. After weighing the gains and losses, Lin Moyu decided to adopt the second method. Still using the Death Knight, in the lowest desert, the Death Knight was the fastest and could exert the greatest advantage. A Death Knight of several hundred people rushed towards the hill giant. The hill giant had no interest in the undead creatures without life aura, and ignored them at all. It did not matter if you ignored them, the Death Knight would make you pay attention. The Death Knight drew out his long sword and waved out attacks full of the power of death. The Death Knight's attack was not powerful, and when it landed on the hill giant, it could only leave a little bit of a mark, not even considered scraping. But the attack contained the power of death with the undead laws. The power of death corroded the hill giant's body, stimulating the hill giant's counterattack. The hill giant woke up, the law's sword, and a giant fist grew out of the mountainside, bombarding the Death Knight. The Death Knight had already moved away when he launched the attack, and at this time, he dodged even further, avoiding the hill giant's attack. The hill giant began to move, chasing after the Death Knight. His speed was very fast, and the Death Knight needed to go all out to keep pace with him. The Death Knight dragged the hill giant further and further away, disappearing from sight. Lin Moyu observed the hill giant's state from beginning to end, focusing on its eyes. Its huge eyes were fixed on the Death Knight. If it relaxed even slightly, the Death Knight would strike a few more times, reigniting its pursuit. The hill giant was not only strong in defense and attack, but also possessed an incredible self-healing ability. At the same time, it had a persistent spirit, chasing the Death Knight for over 10,000 kilometers without stopping. Seeing this, Lin Moyu gradually felt relieved, knowing that his idea was feasible. Immediately afterward, teams of Death Knights rushed out, pouncing towards the hill giants. With 100 knights per team, 1 million Death Knights were enough to form 10,000 teams, each drawing away one hill giant. One by one, the hill giants were lured away, opening up a wide passage. The third day of the 5-day agreement set by the Little Bright King Bodhisattva. In front of the central lake, the Little Bright King Bodhisattva sat cross-legged on the ground. This time, the great sun did not appear above his head, but he was still surrounded by a Buddhist light, setting him off with a solemn appearance. In fact, he had arrived here the day before, waiting quietly. In his hand, he held a yellowish-brown tree branch. The branch was rich in the aura of laws, and the ripples of laws constantly stirred in the air like waves, spreading outward. This tree branch was obtained from the tree of death in the middle layer area. Under the shroud of the tree branch's aura, the central lake was unusually calm, and the area where the Little Bright King Bodhisattva was located was calm and tranquil. Once leaving the area shrouded by the tree branch's aura, the waves of the central lake suddenly became turbulent. The Little Bright King Bodhisattva looked at the lake surface, lost in thought. After a moment, he slowly raised his head and looked into the distance. Two figures appeared in the distance. The Little Bright King Bodhisattva's body reflected a Buddhist light, forming a huge projection in the air. "Greetings, fellow Taoists, long time no see, are you well?" The two people in the distance simultaneously raised their heads and looked at the projection. The Black Sand God King of the Sand Clan, and the Soil Erosion God King of the Earth Monster Clan. The Black Sand God King was already a little God King, at the same level as the Little Bright King Bodhisattva. Although the Soil Erosion God King was not a little God King, he was only slightly weaker, probably not much different from Jin Wei. Moreover, the Sand Clan and the Earth Monster Clan were allies here, and the two had always advanced and retreated together. It was precisely because of this that they were able to occupy a place in front of the powerful demons. The two also mobilized the laws, forming a huge projection in the air. "Little Buddha, are you well?" From the words, it could be heard that they also maintained a trace of respect for the little bright king ACFD Bodhisattva, which was respect for the strong and respect for the Buddhist clan. Even though he was also a little god king, the Black Sand God King slightly lowered his posture. It wasn't that he was afraid of the little bright king Bodhisattva, but because the Buddhist clan was too powerful. These two also held a section of tree branch in their hands, also a tree branch obtained from the tree of death. The Black Sand God King said, "Hasn't God King Jinwei arrived yet?" The little bright king Bodhisattva announced a Buddhist name, Amitabha. "God King Jinwei will not come." What do you mean by this, little Buddha? The Black Sand God King was a little strange. The Soil Erosion God King on the side also showed a strange look. The little bright king Bodhisattva said in a deep voice, "God King Jinwei is dead, he can't come." These words made the Black Sand God King and the Soil Erosion God King's expressions change slightly, and the Black Sand God King couldn't believe it. "Who can kill him?" The little bright king Bodhisattva did not hide anything. "It is a human race powerhouse." "A human race little god king? Not a little god king." The little bright king Bodhisattva told everything he knew, without any concealment, and there was no need for any concealment. Those things he knew were not secrets. Finally, the little bright king Bodhisattva summarized, "This human race powerhouse named Lin Mo Yu, I can't see through him. He should be protected by treasures, so his usual aura is at the 9th rank of true god. But I can be sure that this person is not a little god king, there will be no mistake about this." The Black Sand God King said in a low voice, "Even you can't see through him. It seems that this person is really extraordinary. It seems that there are not many races that can be compared with the demon race, and the human race is one of them." The little bright king Bodhisattva smiled without saying a word. "I have made a 5-day agreement with Lin Mo Yu, I think he will be here soon." The Black Sand God King nodded. "Then we will wait." The few people waited for a day, and the time came to the 4th day of the agreement. Suddenly, the little bright king Bodhisattva looked in one direction and said lightly, "Here." Immediately afterward, the Black Sand God King and the Soil Erosion God King also felt something and looked over one after another. They sensed that someone was rushing towards this side. The aura was not strong, less than God King realm. Without thinking, it was Lin Mo Yu who killed Jinwei. The Black Sand God King and the Soil Erosion God King were very curious about what kind of character could kill God King Jinwei. God King Jinwei was not easy to kill, even a little God King might not be able to kill him. Moreover, Lin Mo Yu could also be ranked first on the demon's must-kill list, making the demon race willing to offer a God King realm magic weapon as a reward. In their sight, the hill giants in the distance suddenly moved, and then ran away into the distance. The few people looked at each other, not knowing what happened. One hill giant after another ran away, as if they were going to hunt someone down. Soon the hill giants were all gone, and Lin Mo Yu appeared in the eyes of the few people. The moment they saw Lin Mo Yu, the few people's eyes suddenly shrank. Especially the Soil Erosion God King, who belonged to the Earth Monster clan and extremely disliked talking. Since he greeted the little bright king Bodhisattva at the beginning, he had never spoken again. At this time, he couldn't help but exclaim, "He didn't take the tree branch." What shocked them was that Lin Mo Yu was not holding a tree branch in his hand. Lin Mo Yu came empty-handed. The Black Sand God King also murmured, "He can break through without taking a tree branch, what means did he use?" At this time, there was already more solemnity in his eyes. Even with his strength, he could not get here without a tree branch. The little bright king Bodhisattva was also puzzled. He didn't know how Lin Mo Yu broke through. Lin Mo Yu's behavior exceeded his expectations. Even he, if he wanted to come here without using a tree branch, would have to spend a lot of effort, and might even fail. He felt that he had to re-evaluate Lin Mo Yu's ability. Lin Mo Yu was more powerful than he thought. Lin Mo Yu saw the little bright king Bodhisattva and the other three from afar. He had seen the little bright king Bodhisattva before, and he was not unfamiliar. Needless to say, the other two were the Black Sand God King of the Sand Clan and the Soil Erosion God King of the Earth Monster Clan. He had already learned the information of these two from the Stone Demon Reborn, and now he could match them one by one. When he saw them, Lin Mo Yu's eyes suddenly narrowed. He finally knew what was the correct way to break through the hill giant's obstruction. At this time, the three of them were holding a tree branch in their hands, and the tree branch was constantly emitting law fluctuations. He also had the tree branch of the Tree of Death. Lin Mo Yu secretly laughed at himself for being a little stupid. he thought that the tree branch of the Tree of Death would be useful at that time, but he didn't expect it to be used here. Fortunately, he had his own way to solve the obstacle. Lin Moyu seemed slow but was actually fast, and quickly came to the lakeside. Looking at the turbulent lake water, and then looking at the calm lake surface in front of the little bright King Bodhisattva and the others, he also took out that section of tree branch. The branches emitted a yellow light, and ripples of law spread out, instantly turning the lake surface calm. It was as if an invisible hand smoothed the lake surface. The three stood by the lake, forming a triangle, each separated by nearly 10,000 kilometers. Lin Moyu said, "Lin Moyu of the human race, greetings to the three of you." Chapter 1358. The Buddhist clan is still the same Buddhist clan. In the sky, a projection of Lin Moyu's appearance appeared. This method isn't particularly clever, merely gathering laws. Not to mention true God realm experts can easily do it, even transcendent God realm experts wouldn't have a problem. This type of projection is useless except for talking. It's completely different from the projections of God sovereigns, which can be used to entrust power for battle. They're not the same thing. The four were separated by tens of thousands of miles, and the projections had to stand opposite each other in the void. Little bright King Bodhisattva clearly regarded himself as the leader of this meeting, and said in a low voice, "This humble monk has gathered the three fellow Taoists this time because I wish to explore the central lake together with the three of you, to find the path to the underworld swamp." Lin Moyu's heart skipped a beat. As expected, it's because of this matter. Judging from his words, he shouldn't have been to the bottom of the central lake and doesn't know the situation inside. But he knows that the path to the underworld swamp is at the bottom of the lake. Lin Moyu quickly had many guesses in his mind. He didn't speak, intending to continue listening to what little bright King Bodhisattva would say, hoping to obtain more information. Little bright King Bodhisattva continued, "The three fellow Taoists should be aware that there are countless monsters beneath the central lake. We don't need to worry about ordinary monsters. With the death branches in hand, ordinary monsters will avoid us. Only that leader is difficult to deal with. The path to the underworld swamp is at the bottom of the lake, but exactly where at the bottom of the lake needs to be found. Moreover, we also need to discuss how to avoid that leader, as the Tree of Death has no effect on it." After saying these words, little bright King Bodhisattva swept his gaze over everyone, waiting for them to speak. His meaning was very clear. He wanted the four to join forces and see if they could kill that leader. Currently, there are no grudges between the human race, Buddhist clan, Water clan, and Earth Golem clan, so there is indeed a possibility of joining forces. Lin Moyu looked at little bright King Bodhisattva and spoke first, "Little Buddha, I am new here and don't understand the matters within the central lake. I have some questions." Little bright King Bodhisattva proclaimed a Buddhist prayer, "Amitabha, fellow Taoist Lin, please ask." Lin Moyu was straightforward. "First question, regarding the realm of that leader monster, have you fought it before?" Little bright King Bodhisattva immediately replied, "That leader monster is in the small god sovereign realm. This humble monk has fought it before, and this humble monk was no match for it." Lin Moyu's expression didn't change, and he continued to ask the second question. "Second question, you just said that with the death branches in hand, ordinary monsters won't bother us. If, during battle, the leader monster summons those ordinary monsters to deal with us, will the ordinary monsters still care about the death branches in our hands?" This question stumped little bright King Bodhisattva. This humble monk isn't too sure about that. This humble monk only exchanged a few breaths with it and didn't fight desperately. Recognizing that I was no match, I retreated. Then he added, "However, what fellow Taoist Lin said isn't without reason. If it summons ordinary monsters to deal with us, this humble monk isn't sure whether the death branches will still be useful." Lin Moyu had played many dungeons, and some bosses would summon their minions during battle. Therefore, generally when fighting a boss, one would clean up all of its minions, making it unable to summon any. If, at the bottom of the central lake, that leader suddenly summoned ordinary monsters to attack, it's really hard to say whether the Tree of Death would be useful. Lin Moyu continued to ask, "Third question, can little Buddha tell us about the situation you saw at the bottom of the lake at that time, and the specific situation in the lake?" Little bright King Bodhisattva nodded. "Naturally, there are many dog-headed fish-bodied monsters in the lake. These monsters will actively attack anyone who approaches. For example, if we are standing on the shore now and don't have a death branch in hand, the monsters inside will attack us. But these monsters have one characteristic: they can't go ashore. Once they go ashore, they will turn into sand and die instantly. The monsters in the lake are not as strong as the mountain monsters, but their numbers far exceed the mountain monsters. If we want to clean them up, it will be very difficult. The meaning of very difficult in Little Bright King's mouth is that it is basically impossible to do. The central lake is very large. Even with Lin Moyu's eyesight, he can't see the end of it at a glance. The three of them, separated by tens of thousands of miles, actually only occupy an insignificant corner of the central lake. Lin Moyu felt that stuffing a few stars into the central lake wouldn't be a problem. Such a huge lake is somewhat unreasonable in its existence, and the monsters inside are probably so numerous that they can't be counted. Since this is the case, then clearing the monsters inside is an impossible method, a wrong method. But without clearing the monsters inside, when dealing with the leader monster, it will most likely summon its minions. With just a few of them, they can't beat it. It seems to have become an unsolvable problem. After Little Bright King Bodhisattva finished telling what he knew, Lin Moyu roughly understood the situation he was facing, which was very thorny, troublesome. Lin Moyu then raised the fourth question, Little Buddha, you said you went down to find the path to the underworld swamp, but didn't find it. Is there a possibility that this passage will only appear after killing the leader monster? Lin Moyu's guess wasn't without reason. He thought of the situation at the bottom of the yellow sand lake before, where passages did exist. But those passages were inaccessible. Based on this, even if there is a passage at the bottom of the central lake, it is estimated that it will not be accessible before killing the leader monster. Perhaps the leader monster will also drop keys or something similar. Little Bright King Bodhisattva said in a deep voice, this humble monk has also thought about this question. It's not impossible, it's just too difficult to kill that leader, so this humble monk thinks it's better to find the passage first. If we find the passage, and it's really as fellow Taoist Lin said, then we can come back and think of a way to kill the leader monster. Little Bright King Bodhisattva still insisted on his own idea. He still wanted to avoid the leader monster and prioritize choosing the passage. Unless they can't find it, they will think about killing the leader monster. But Lin Moyu heard a different meaning from his calm tone. He seemed to have some confidence in killing the leader monster, but also said that he was not the leader monster's opponent. This shows that he has a trump card, or that he lied before. But no matter which one, killing the leader monster is estimated to require paying a corresponding price. Unless absolutely necessary, he obviously doesn't want to pay this price. Some of Little Bright King Bodhisattva's little thoughts were almost guessed by Lin Moyu. Lin Moyu no longer asked extra questions and began to directly address the core issue, Little Buddha, what do you plan to do? He knew that, in fact, everything that had been said before was just a prelude. Since Little Bright King Bodhisattva took the initiative to summon them, saying it was for discussion, he actually already had an idea. Little Bright King Bodhisattva didn't directly answer, but looked at Black Sand God King and Erosion Earth God King, two fellow Taoists. Do you have any brilliant ideas? Black Sand God King shook his head. No, I have also been down there before and seen that leader, but I didn't fight it. It's very strong, I can't beat it. Erosion Earth God King was sparing with his words, never been down there. Little Bright King Bodhisattva said, since this is the case, then this humble monk has an idea, three fellow Taoists, listen to it and see if it's feasible. Lin Moyu couldn't help but laugh inwardly. As expected, he came prepared. He had already guessed what kind of answers Black Sand God King and Erosion Earth God King would have. Neither the Sand Clan nor the Earth Golem Clan are good at using their brains. How could they escape Little Bright King Bodhisattva's scheme? The Buddhist clan is still the same Buddhist clan, a hypocritical guy. Chapter 1359, Mutual Vigilance, each with their own agenda. Suppressing the dislike for the Buddhist clan in his heart, Lin Moyu's expression remained unchanged on the surface, showing an appearance of listening to Little Bright King Bodhisattva's speech. Little Bright King Bodhisattva smiled slightly and began to talk about his thoughts. There are 4 of us in total, divided into 2 groups. One group is responsible for finding the passage, and the other group is responsible for attracting the leader monster's attention, buying time for the other group. Each search time is set to 1 hour. If no discovery is made within 1 hour, we will return to the shore, rest for 1 hour, and then go down to search again. The second time down, the 2 groups exchange responsibilities, and the other group is responsible for attracting the leader monster's attention. We will delineate the area. Each group is responsible for different areas, so as to avoid repetition. While speaking, Little Bright King Bodhisattva released another projection. The projection was a topographic map of the central lake. He had already divided the area in the central lake, dividing the central lake into 99 areas in total. Lin Mo 840, glanced over and found that in the very center of the lake projection, there was a large area that was empty. He looked at little bright King Bodhisattva, waiting for him to explain. Not only him, Black Sand God King, Erosion Earth God King also looked at little bright King Bodhisattva together. Little bright King Bodhisattva immediately explained, this area in the middle is the core area of the lake, and it is also the area most likely to find the passage. But this humble monk has never been able to enter it. Every time I want to enter, I am blocked by the leader monster. Lin Mo asked, can little Buddha explain in detail some of the characteristics of the leader monster? Okay, little Mingwang Bodhisattva didn't refuse. He changed the projection again, and a hideous monster appeared within it. It also had a fish body, but the dog's head was gone, replaced by a lion's head. The fleshy balls on its head were extremely hideous and terrifying. At the very center of its head, there was also a unicorn, which looked like a dragon's horn. Just looking at such a monster sent chills down one's spine. The monster also had a pair of large hands, holding a weapon, a long spear. Little Mingwang Bodhisattva said, this boss monster bears some resemblance to the Yaksha in our Buddhist teachings, so I've given him a name, Yellow Sand Yaksha. The Yellow Sand Yaksha most often appears in the core area. Its senses are very sharp, and it can sense anyone entering from any direction. Moreover, it is very fast. In the lake, its speed far surpasses ours, so it is very difficult to deal with. Even if we are just trying to attract its attention, we need to be extremely careful and cooperate with each other. Lin Mo memorized the appearance of the boss monster. From little Mingwang Bodhisattva's tone, he could indeed sense that it was not easy to deal with. If it could also summon other monsters, that would be somewhat unsolvable. For now, attracting the boss monster's attention and taking the opportunity to find the passage is the best way. Little Mingwang looked at the others, and after a few seconds of silence, spoke again, do the three fellow cultivators have any better methods than my suggestion? Black Sand and Erosion Earth didn't speak. Lin Mo said, little Buddha's method is good, but how should we pair up? Lin Mo knew that little Mingwang Bodhisattva must have thought it through. His words were just an introduction to let little Mingwang Bodhisattva speak his mind. Little Mingwang Bodhisattva chanted a Buddhist prayer again, I think that I and God King Erosion Earth should be in one group, and fellow cultivator Lin and God King Black Sand should be in another group. Lin Mo's eyes turned slightly, and he thought, as expected, it's just as I thought. He had previously thought that little Mingwang Bodhisattva would use this combination method. Among the four people present, there was no enmity at the racial level. However, Black Sand and Erosion Earth were in an alliance, and their relationship was relatively close. If they were in the same group, if they found the passage, they might enter it themselves. Then he and little Mingwang Bodhisattva would be at a disadvantage. So, they had to be separated. There was nothing wrong with that. But at the same time, Lin Mo also had some concerns about this arrangement. Because among the four, only he and God King Erosion Earth were not little god sovereigns. On the surface, little Mingwang Bodhisattva was the strongest. If little Mingwang Bodhisattva and God King Erosion Earth were in the same group, if they found the passage, would little Mingwang Bodhisattva suddenly kill Erosion Earth and enter himself? That was not impossible, but if he raised objections now and demanded to be in the same group with Erosion Earth, little Mingwang Bodhisattva probably wouldn't agree. Because he didn't know his true strength. He could kill Golden Radiance, so he regarded himself as a strong person of the same realm. After thinking for a long time, Lin Mo realized that there would be problems no matter how they were grouped. The best way was not how to group, but how to impose restrictions. God King Erosion Earth seemed dissatisfied with this grouping, but he didn't speak. God King Black Sand next to him signaled him not to speak. Although God King Black Sand was not good at using his brain, it didn't mean he was stupid. He could still understand this point. After thinking for a moment, God King Black Sand expressed his position on behalf of himself and God King Erosion Earth, I have no objections. Lin Mo smiled slightly, I have no objections either, but I think we need to make an oath to the great world. Little Mingwang Bodhisattva seemed to have expected Lin Mo to say this, that's natural. Saying that, he immediately made an oath, I hereby swear that in the Central Lake, I will never attack the Sand Race's God King Black Sand, the Earth Monster Race's God King Erosion Earth, or the Human Race's Lin Mo. If I violate this oath, my Tao heart will collapse and I will die. After he made the oath, Lin Mo, God King Black Sand, and God King Erosion Earth also made oaths. Then, each of them took out a drop of blood essence and flew it into the air. The 4 drops of blood essence gathered in the air and combined together. A thunderclap rang out in the air, and lightning struck the blood essence. The blood essence dissipated in the lightning, and the Great World Oath was established. The higher the realm, the greater the commotion caused when making an oath to the Great World. There were even legends that when those supreme and invincible beings made oaths to the Great World, the lightning swept across the starry sky and could easily destroy galaxies. With the constraints of the Great World Oath, the 4 of them felt relieved. However, Lin Moyu was still a little wary, because little Mingwang Bodhisattva agreed too readily. Although the Great World Oath had a very strong binding force, it was not omnipotent. Perhaps little Mingwang Bodhisattva had some means to circumvent the Great World Oath. So, he had to guard against it and stay vigilant to survive. Not only him, but Black Sand and Erosion Earth were probably the same. 2.4. The 4 people were cooperating briefly, but they were all wary of each other and guarded against each other. The few people discussed for a while, and in the first round, Lin Moyu and God King Black Sand would search for the passage together, searching in area number 1. According to little Mingwang Bodhisattva's numbering, the larger the number, the closer it was to the center point. This was similar to the way the human race was numbered in the Vermilion Bird battlefield. Many races in the Great World used this method. Go down. Little Mingwang Bodhisattva and God King Erosion Earth took the lead in jumping into the lake. They held branches of the Tree of Death in their hands. After entering the water, the branches bloomed with a bright halo like a bright lamp. Wherever the light reached, the lake water became calm. After the 2 entered the lake, they quickly dived deeper and deeper, until the light could no longer be seen from the lake surface. After waiting for about 5 minutes, Lin Moyu and God King Black Sand looked at each other, and the 2 jumped up at the same time and jumped into the lake. Chapter 1360. Kiting Tactics, Extreme Stretching. In the yellowish lake water, a halo lit up. Both of them held branches of the Tree of Death, and the small branches of the Tree of Death released a hazy halo. A large number of fish-bodied, dog-headed monsters in the lake retreated automatically after seeing the halo. Soon, the 2 arrived at the bottom of the lake and began to look for the passage. Lin Moyu and God King Black Sand maintained a distance of 1 kilometer. This distance would not cause any omissions, and could also expand the search range and improve efficiency. They kept moving forward at the bottom of the lake, and Lin Moyu carefully searched along the edge of the lake bottom. The passage might be in the edge area, or it might be somewhere at the bottom of the lake. Before finding it, anything was possible. The bottom of the lake was not mud, but grains of sand. The sand was filled with laws and would not be dissolved by the lake water and turned into mud. God King Black Sand came from the sand race. The sand race was naturally close to earth and stone laws. After entering the bottom of the lake, when he searched, the sand at the bottom of the lake would automatically spread around. With the advantage of the race's talent, his search speed was much faster than Lin Moyu's. Soon, he walked to the front of Lin Moyu. Time passed little by little, and an hour passed in the blink of an eye. In just 1 hour, they didn't have time to complete the search of area number 1, only completing most of it. But when the time came, the 2 quickly floated up and returned to the shore. After they came back, only half a minute later, little Mingwang Bodhisattva and God King Erosion Earth also rushed out from it. The 2 were very fast, like cannonballs blasting out of the lake, rushing straight into the sky. Immediately afterwards, a huge figure also rushed out of the lake. It was 100 meters tall, with a lion's head and a fish's body, covered with dense fish scales. The fleshy balls on the head were extremely hideous, and a unicorn looked sharp and pointed. Thick hands grew from both sides of the fish's body, and a 100-meter-long spear was held in its hand. The appearance of the yellow sand yaksha was exactly the same as the projection of little Mingwang Bodhisattva, and even the projection was more hideous. The yellow sand yaksha chased out of the lake, and in midair, stabbed fiercely at little Mingwang Bodhisattva and God King Erosion Earth. A huge spear phantom appeared in the void, carrying a terrifying aura, wanting to pierce the 2. Little Mingwang Bodhisattva took the lead in turning back, chanted a Buddhist prayer, and a string of prayer beads appeared in his hand. The prayer beads were activated and flew out of his hand, quickly growing larger in the air and turning into a round shield. The round shield was covered with Buddhist runes. For a time, the Buddhist sounds were as if countless Buddhas were chanting scriptures. The spear phantom heavily stabbed on the prayer bead round shield, making a loud noise. The phantom of the spear disappeared, and the yellow sand yaksha fell back into the lake. At the same time, little Mingwang Bodhisattva and the soil erosion god king landed back on the shore. Lin Mo could tell that the soil erosion god king's eyes still held a trace of panic. His clothes were somewhat damaged, and his aura was a little unstable, as if he had suffered a minor injury. His strength was inferior to little Mingwang Bodhisattva and much weaker than the yellow sand yaksha. The soil erosion god king didn't speak, but bowed slightly to little Mingwang Bodhisattva, then silently sat down to the side. His entire body was surging with laws, as if he was healing his injuries. Little Mingwang Bodhisattva sighed, the yellow sand yaksha is too powerful. This humble monk was only probing slightly and almost ran into trouble, and even caused fellow Taoist soil erosion to suffer some injuries. Lin Mo knew these were just polite words, so he chimed in, with little Buddha present, he can surely keep the soil erosion god king safe and sound. The soil erosion god king's panic was greater than his injuries, it wasn't a major issue. Little Mingwang Bodhisattva asked, was there any gain from this search? Lin Mo and the black sand god king shook their heads. It was normal to have no gains, after all, it was only the first search, and they hadn't even finished searching Area 1. The passage wasn't so easy to find, it required a lot of time. Little Mingwang Bodhisattva also sat down, the next round will be for the two of you to attract the yellow sand yaksha. Please, both of you, be extremely careful. Lin Mo nodded and stopped talking. Silence fell around them, with only the branches of the death tree continuously emitting a faint light. Lin Mo closed his eyes, seemingly resting and meditating, but in reality, his mind was already connected to the skeleton god warriors. Earlier, his search speed was slower than the black sand god king's. From an angle where the black sand god king couldn't see, he released 100 skeleton god warriors. The skeleton god warriors buried themselves deep in the sand at the bottom of the lake, and now, they were starting to move. They moved quickly along the edge of the lakebed to the other side. In an hour, little Mingwang Bodhisattva would enter the lakebed to search, and the skeleton god warriors needed to avoid him. The skeleton god warriors advanced rapidly at the bottom of the lake, silently and without alarming a single monster. The skeleton god warriors, with no signs of life, were completely ignored by the monsters in the lake. After reaching their destination, the 100 skeleton god warriors spread out to search, forming a map in Lin Mo's mind. An hour later, Lin Mo and the black sand god king opened their eyes simultaneously. They exchanged a glance, then leapt high into the air, entering the lake. As soon as they entered the lake, the two immediately swam towards the center. Their goal was to attract the yellow sand yaksha's attention, so they needed to go to the core area as soon as possible. The branches of the death tree continued to emit a faint light, dispelling ordinary monsters, and the two moved quickly. Soon, a huge figure came into view. Lin Mo and the black sand god king discovered the yellow sand yaksha, and at the same time, the yellow sand yaksha discovered them. Lin Mo felt himself being locked on, a powerful and violent soul firmly locking onto him. Surpassing the 9th rank of God King, but weaker than God Emperor, it was a soul that truly belonged to a lesser God Emperor. The death tree branches lost their effect, the yellow sand yaksha was already charging over, spear in hand. A signal of danger rose frantically in Lin Mo's heart, being targeted by the yellow sand yaksha would be life-threatening. Retreat. Without thinking, Lin Mo quickly retreated. The black sand god king's reaction was no slower than Lin Mo's. He had already retreated at the first moment, and in a different direction from Lin Mo, creating distance between them. According to the agreed-upon strategy, they would use a kiting tactic. The two maintained a distance of 1,000 kilometers, taking turns attracting the yellow sand yaksha. The two quickly increased the distance. Lin Mo's speed was fast, but in the lake water, the yellow sand yaksha's speed was even faster. The distance between them was constantly shrinking. Seeing that it was about to catch up, Lin Mo was already prepared to withstand the yellow sand yaksha's attack. Even if the yellow sand yaksha had the battle power of a lesser god emperor, it couldn't kill him instantly. So until now, Lin Mo was still able to maintain his composure. Suddenly, a golden arrow pierced through the water, landing violently on the yellow sand yaksha. The yellow sand yaksha abruptly turned to look at the black sand god king, thousands of kilometers away. The black sand god king was already in position, unhesitatingly launching an attack on the yellow sand yaksha. His attack attracted the yellow sand yaksha's attention, and the yellow sand yaksha turned to charge towards the black sand god king. After attacking, the black sand god king retreated rapidly. Lin Mo's fingertips glowed, quickly following, always maintaining a distance of thousands of kilometers from the Black Sand God King. The Black Sand God King's attack had come just in time, diverting the Yellow Sand Yaksha's attention just as it was about to attack. The Black Sand God King wasn't good at speed, even a bit slower than Lin Mo. Only a dozen seconds later, the Yellow Sand Yaksha had already caught up with the Black Sand God King. Lin Mo could see that the Black Sand God King was very nervous, his entire body tense, ready to act. At this moment, Lin Mo's finger gently tapped, and in the yellow lake water, a red light suddenly appeared. Stellar level spell, Soul Burn. Lin Mo didn't use the Curse of Time, as that would be too powerful, and he was afraid that the Yellow Sand Yaksha would hate him afterward. Just to attract attention, Soul Burn was enough.